high frequency microphones and only dogs can hear you right now.
Very good.
That's the level of that broke off with the kind of the audio. So, hello everyone, welcome to a Pubcast. This is what we're doing.
Hello.
Beer though. Beer.
Yeah.
Rose, it's summertime.
Internet sláinte.
Yeah.
It's cider. It's summertime.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I got this.
Starter.
I know. I got this Hopperberg mixed fruit tropical version that I haven't had before. It's very sweet, lads, but it's very nice.
Yeah, Copperberg is a sugar water.
Yeah,
it's bleeding sugar water. I'm having a very nice ale.
I too I'm having a pale ale, and it's got upstream on it. I don't know what that means, but it's got streaming in the title, so kind of,
Okay.
It's apt.
Folks, as always, I'm Wayne.
I'm Kim.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jill.
And we are Pubcast. We thought we'd get together and do one of these.
Yes.
Yeah, remember when we thought they'd all be IRL after 3 years?
Yeah. Like we did one, maybe two at a push, if my really patchy, time-riddled memory serves.
I think two.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I want to say two.
Two, I think. But we've been doing these in between episodes of our Social Shenanigans D&D campaign. We've been doing these, which is like online little chats of different things. Yeah. And there's a fair amount of stuff that has happened in the nerd world, be it TV shows, books, whatever, cartoons, still the fucking whole kit and caboodle. So many TV shows have dropped and have been ingested into our eyeballs at like full effect. If you watch Stranger Things 4 all in one sitting, and then watch the whole, because like it was literally a collection of 1.5 hour, 2 hour movies.
I have 3 episodes left.
Oh, 3 episodes left.
Really, like I couldn't stop. I had.
We're gonna have to send Jill out for a fag.
This is the problem. Don't tell him, because I love him. But like, this is the problem of having a boyfriend who doesn't live with you, because you can't be like, "Why don't we just binge Stranger Things?"
That's the whole point of them. Like they brought in like watch parties where you can.
Yeah, you can't really do it properly on the Netflix browser interface. I was trying to look for it. I know it's easy to do it on Amazon Prime, but we couldn't figure it out. But so I kind of bullied him into watching episode 6 last night. I was like, right, so we're gonna both hit play at the same time, and I'll talk to you in an hour and a half, or I'll talk to you in an hour and 15 minutes. Because initially it was like, oh, we leave the phones on, and then it was like, no, there's going to be interference, and we're not going to talk to each other anyway, because we're going to be paying attention to the show. I'll talk to you afterwards. So season 6 ends with Steve getting dragged into the Upside Down by Vecna. Spoilers, by the way, whoever hasn't seen this.
Well, yeah,
but that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to talk about it, I can fuck off for a while.
Well, we can definitely talk about it up to that, because there's a lot of it. So spoilers are. So let me pre-curse this entire episode. Put
a big warning on the front before it even goes up. I'll open their mouth.
I'm gonna edit in a spoiler warning now.
Have like spoiler things on it, maybe.
There was your spoiler warning. Okay, so this entire episode is just going to be talking about Stranger Things. I guess we're going to be talking about The Boys. Are we?
Yeah.
Can I make a request? I haven't seen Thor: Love and Thunder, and I haven't watched.
Neither have I.
Neither have I. I'm seeing Thor tomorrow.
I think the discussion of why that happened.
And the second time was horrible. We went to not talking about the movie, but
wait.
Was horrible.
Hold your piss for a second. Daz, hang on.
Yes.
So, if I could kick off the boys' discussion when it happens, because I haven't seen Stranger Things.
Kim, I will say this, right? You're FaceTiming like somebody's mother, because you're up like this in the camera. So just sit back so we can see your face.
Another spoiler. I am someone's mother.
Yeah, but like, somebody who doesn't literally just look.
Don't zoom in.
Here,
that's half the fun.
Give me the credit union's number.
Never seen
Give me the credit union's number.
Yeah,
Zach, we're always like, I can see what you are doing.
Yeah,
I'm in frame for me, but
no. See, you have to remember the way we do this is in an application called OBS, and I then have to take everyone's lovely face and put it inside a little frame.
Oh.
In a box. I'm living in a box.
In a box.
Living
So,
in a cardboard
just remember that. So if you get really
Okay.
close to the camera, you could get. I could just
Okay.
end up with just the bottom of your mouth. Or
So
the
is
top of
this
your
good?
head. Yeah, that's a good
That's
position
perfect.
to be in.
Okay.
you
All
know?
right.
So
Title of your sex tape.
Yeah, I'm not biting on that, by the way. Title of my other sex tape. So, yeah, all right. So, what I was gonna say was, I think we should do Stranger Things first because it's so raw for everybody. I've seen an hour of Stranger Things in my life, so I'll be just listening. But insane.
you haven't
for
watched
when-
it. You haven't seen
At
it
all.
No, it when I did, obviously I started watching it when it came out, and I think it does make sense that it wouldn't be the case for you, Wayne, but for me it was kind of Super 8 style, a pastiche of a time that I remember too well. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it was inauthentic to me, because of course it is, because it's a television show. But the aesthetic it was mildly irritating to me, but I was always planning on going back, but there's just so much of it. I'll get to it.
Yeah.
I
that's
trust
fair.
the people that have reviewed it.
That's fair. So Stranger Things is obviously something we could talk about for sure. The boys, I take it. So about Kim and Jill, you aren't caught up with it, or you are?
Kim is.
You are.
I'm not.
Jill isn't. Okay. And obviously Thor, Love and Thunder, D-Man has seen it, but the three of us haven't.
Well, we can wait till you have.
Sure.
I've seen it twice. So
There's also a rake of other stuff, which in typical recording fashion, because Pubcast is Pubcast, we don't fucking make notes. We come up with this shit off the cuff.
No.
So it's
Yes,
as if we
let
came in
Serial
here
do
without-
that.
Yeah, we didn't come in here with a plan.
we
We
don't
came
have
in
any
here
notes.
with semi-good intentions and booze. That's
Came
what
in
we
here with exactly.
Yeah.
The booze
So-
being the important part.
Yeah.
Blood and
So,
vinegar.
The thing we'll kick it off with Stranger Things. So again, spoiler warning. And I think everyone, the majority of people have least like that are going to watch it, have watched most of it at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking everywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's for me personally, I thought it's a phenomenal show. I've always thought that about it. I think from the start, it's been fantastic. It hit a lot of the nostalgia thing for me, being of that generation, and yes, the rose-colored glasses were there for it, but it spoke to the kid I was, because they're pretty much the kids that are in that show. But overall, I just love the visuals, the music, everything. And season 4 was just more of the same, and then some.
Yeah.
And even up to just talking about it up to episode 6, it's paced so well in this season, and they were given such an allowance to make a show where episodes are going to be like an hour and a half, with the finale being 2.5 hours long, 2 hours 20 minutes. Like, they weren't held back in any way, which is ironic, seeing that like Netflix is chopping shows left, right, and center, but this is their golden goose. Like,
You know where the money is, though.
Yeah, it's their bread and
Oh,
butter.
yeah.
They can't mess with this.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
They were given something like 30 million an episode.
What?
Yeah. Which is
Holy
like
shit.
silly money. 30, as far as I'm aware, it's $30 million an episode is what was pumped into it. And it's all on the screen. Between the cast. Now, I don't know if it's one of these shows where the returning cast are demanding more money every season or whatever like that. I don't know. But like, you can, from the special effects to the acting to the sound, music, the works. I think for whatever reason, this particular season, more than any of the other ones, seems to have grabbed the zeitgeist heavily by the balls. Like, literally just grab them balls and drag them along.
Do you think because it's taken kind of so long?
Because we're coming out the end of COVID as well.
Yeah. And the young people who started watching it are a bit deeper than they were when it started, like that they like, because it really hit people. Really hit people this season. Do you think it's that people had to wait for it?
I
that
think
it
there's
was all
part of
dropped.
that. There was a lot of that during the pandemic. If you think about it, there was a lot of stuff that people were waiting for, and when some of it landed, some of it hit and hit well, and some of it hit badly. Be it movies or shows or whatever. Whereas it was waiting too long. Now, as far as I'm aware, this started before the pandemic and finished filming after the pandemic, or during and after the pandemic.
Yeah.
Not after, during,
Yeah.
still during the
Massively
pandemic.
delayed, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why season 5, they're saying there's going to be a time jump at the start of season 5 because all of the actors who played the kids have all aged significantly. It's like it's that summer when when Anto goes home at the start of summer break in third class, and he goes back in fourth class, and he started off being a 4 foot nothing, and he comes back and he's 6'2", and he's broad, and all his pimples are gone. It's that type of a situation,
Yeah.
But I mean, for me personally, I thought this season definitely was top tier, and I don't know how the rest of you felt about it, but it just seemed to hit every single note correctly. Every single dramatic beat it had, every new character was fucking phenomenal. Like even from the smallest individual character seemed to have an impact. Like there's a character called Chrissy who's a cheerleader, is in it for like maybe I think she's only in it one episode.
Yeah, at the very start.
Yeah, and her like funnily enough played by Casper Van Dien's daughter.
Yep. Shout out to Casper Van Dien, lovely guest at DCC.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah, it's like she's in one episode, and even the Duffer Brothers came out and said that they felt sorry after seeing the reactions of her character online. They felt bad about killing her off so quickly.
Yeah.
Because of the character itself, and also the chemistry between her and Jason Quinn, who plays the character Eddie Munson, who is Joseph Quinn, who plays Eddie Munson, who is now
Eddie Munster.
No, Eddie.
We'll get to that as well.
Oh Jesus! But yeah, so Jill, Darren. I mean, other two people that have watched it. I mean, was there anything that stood out for you, even in the first 6 episodes, Jill? Because there's a lot in there.
I'm in love with Robin. I think she's phenomenal, and she talks so fast, and she says so much, and she's so neurotic, but she's amazing.
Who does that remind you of?
She's she's so creative and smart, and I like the development that happened between her and Nancy, because Nancy was one of those, she's like a pain in the hole, but she's grown on me.
You're starting to sound like Irene. Irene's like, she's only interested when she has a gun in her hand. That's Irene's opinion of Nancy.
But yeah, so the fact that Robin and her have kind of formed a little alliance this season has been lovely. Yeah, go on the girls.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Eddie Munson. Like straight away, I was like, oh, this is the lunatic who he's on his 3rd attempt trying to graduate high school, and mad into D&D. So of course there's the whole satanic panic going on at the time in the States as well, people thinking that D&Ders were all worshipping the devil.
Is that in all the seasons or just in this season?
It's
prominent in this one.
Yeah, it's very prominent. It's big part of it in this one.
It's a big part of the story this time, yeah.
Big time. But
it ties in, with what was going, because it's this season is 86.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 86.
86.
Yeah.
So it does hit the nostalgia bug for me, but at the same time, I was a child in the 80s, so I don't remember that as much as I remember being a teen in the 90s.
Flex.
Born in 83, lads. I'm still old, but but the music, well, I love my 80s music, and the phenomenal Kate Bush is now top of the charts because of Stranger Things, and all the kids are learning about the wonderful Miss Kate Bush, which is phenomenal. Great.
It sounds that song is so delightfully weird that it sounds like it came out last week by some indie.
I know,
artist.
yeah.
So it's great.
But yeah, the as you said, the production value has been phenomenal. The special effects, like the main baddie Vecna, looks like, to me, I was like, it's more horror Swamp Thing vibes. A little bit of Swamp Thing in there because of the vines, obviously, but less green. He's yeah, all red and demony looking. But that looks amazing. I've been tempted a couple of times to look at, like, there's YouTube features up on like the makeup and the prosthetics that we use for him. And I'm like, nope, wait till after you finish the show because I might ruin something. But it's been great, and every episode it's like, oh shit, what are they going to do now? And a couple of times left you on a cliffhanger as well. So like that season 6, I was like, oh, like they can't, but they might, but they can't, but they might.
Episode 6 was very much a cliffhanger for sure, big time. Yeah, I know it is. Like, and there are some great moments in that. Like I said, every episode has got fantastic moments, but it's like, you know, when you see movies in the cinema, like the Marvel films are famous for them, where they had those key standout moments, Cap picking up Mjolnir and, you know, strapping the shield back on, I can do this all day type of situation. Those type of moments where they were like, oh yeah, like this show had multiple moments like that throughout. And they just build and build, and in the last two episodes is a fuck ton of them.
Yeah, and I love Hop's story at the moment as well, because he's obviously, like, there's the party has been split, which we knew
you never do.
At the end of the last, which you should never do. You're right, Darren. You know, they've had their time on their own, and now there's the other split because Joyce and Maury are doing their thing, trying to find and it's just like all these. Are they ever going to manage to get back together? How are they going to get back to Hawkins and defeat the baddie? What's going to happen? Hop's story has been great. Like, there's been moments in the prison, in the gulag, when they're wailing on him.
Thomas Walachia as well. Is there like another former Dublin Comic Con guest, Thomas Walachia from Game of Thrones and now Stranger Things? Like the man. Was it the man? What's the phrase from fucking Game of Thrones?
Oh my god!
Fuck! How dare they do that to the show? So we haven't been watching it afterwards.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, Valar Morghulis type of situation. But yeah, like, and he's a cracking actor in it, and he's brilliant.
He's excellent in it. But yeah, there's a bit where
he's a dirty vibe as well.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember if any of you were there during his panel that I did at Comic-Con, and like, he's German and his English is good. He's got good English, but add the Irish accent on top of that at a distance with a microphone, or somebody's like talking like this they're like, so there was this young girl at his panel, and she stood up, and her boyfriend was there, and she got up to the microphone. She was like, would you mind if I wore a horse mask and you jumped on me and rode me like a horse while my boyfriend watched? And this was like in a panel at the show. And he kind of turned to me and he was like, what? I was like, did you hear her? He says, I just couldn't understand what she said. It was quite muffled. I was like, I'm going to have to fucking repeat this.
No, you're not. You're to tell her to sit down and not.
And I kind of was like, and then she said it louder into the microphone. And he's like, you want to be a horse? And I was like, yeah, she said something along those lines, like, wear a horse mask. And he was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Home and behave yourself.
Yeah, but he was very nice, very amicable dude.
Yeah, I do wonder at cons sometimes. Like, my biggest dislike is people pretending to be cool. You don't have to be cool. You can show your enthusiasm. So just like when you were on set, like, don't try to be cool. Just be honest. Like, you're freaking out. It's fine. But then, like, bringing your kink to a panel, no, thank you. No, thank you. Maybe you should try and act more cool. Maybe you should be more unnatural if that's your vibe.
Well, funnily, you should say that about conventions. It ties in with Stranger Things because Joseph Quinn was at his first ever convention as a guest about a week
London
ago.
Film and Comic Con.
London Film and Comic Con, yeah.
I have frequented it in the
And-
past and had good times there. But
I heard about this.
Yeah, so he went to. It's real funny. You just Google the word Joseph, and the first thing that comes up is Joseph Quinn. He went to London Film and Comic Con, his first ever convention. He'd never been to a convention before as a guest because he'd been in plenty of shows, but he'd never been in shows that were like nerds want to see you and give you money to take photographs with you, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
So he had gone and again, I don't know the full information about this, and there's a lot of different variations of the story online. So I'm not going to come out and say this is the exact truth of what happened. But apparently, he wasn't treated very well by the actual staff at the show.
Oh no!
They overbooked him because his character Eddie Munson is a fan favorite now in the entire season.
Absolutely.
His character was literally, the fans were like, "No, don't do anything bad to Eddie." And they just rode that wave, and it got really like literally fanatical about the whole thing. And they overbooked
weren't ready,
him. Well, no, they knew what they were fucking doing, because all conventions, particularly London Film and Comic Con, should know better.
Yeah,
and
they're around long enough.
They are, and they've dealt with this type of thing before. They had Tom Hiddleston a couple of years ago with a very similar situation, and they overbooked Joseph's photograph opportunities, like the photo ops that they do, and there was issues with queuing, and they then moved the queue. So just imagine you're top of the queue at a photo op, you're next in line to get your photograph taken, and somebody comes out and says, "We're going to have to move the photo op across to a different section because it's gone over time. Somebody else is coming in to do their photo op. We're going to have to move Joseph." So they moved the queue. They just said, "You're going to be over there now." They didn't literally move it. They just said, "Go over there." So everyone ran. And whoever, like say people were at the back of the queue were now running to get to the front of the queue, whereas that one person that had been queuing for ages at the front of the queue now has to deal with the fact they've moved. That was one of the things. Another thing was he was spending, they were claiming, or there's claims that he was being shouted at by London Film and Comic Con staff because he was spending too much time individually with people that were coming up to his table.
Yeah.
So people were coming to his table to get stuff signed, and he was chatting with them, having a bit of a laugh, taking photographs, whatever. And the staff at the show allegedly were shouting at him to say, and basically berating him for doing that. He then went on stage for his Q&A. And a fan got up to the microphone. There's a video of this on YouTube, and thanked him for being so gracious with his time, and thanked him for being so friendly with everyone, because they have gravitated towards the character of Eddie so heavily, and they just love him so much, and he doesn't understand the impact he's had on the zeitgeist overall. And I think it has sunk in now at this stage, but I've seen videos of him getting interviewed, and he's just like, "I have no idea what's going on. How is this even possible?" And he broke down on stage as this fan said this to him. You see him physically crying, and he's like, "Oh no!" It's like he's physically upset about the whole thing. Like, you know, he seems like a very sensitive guy, and a very nice individual as well.
Great in an actor.
Yeah,
really
totally.
Yeah.
So there was all these allegations, and if London Film and Comic Con came out, and they apparently they clapped back on the rumors.
They have, yeah. I read a statement.
Yeah, stating that they had that he was treated fairly, that they would never treat a guest like that, particularly one Joseph's first ever convention. They wanted to give him a good experience, so on and so forth. So it's funny, like this whole thing with Thomas Wallachia at Dublin Comic Con with that one weird question, multiply that by 1 million,
wow,
and you'll get what happened to Joseph Quinn at London Film and Comic Con, which seems to be quite and hopefully it doesn't sour him to conventions, but obviously
he's a good actor, and he seems like very sound as well. So that's a good quality, you know.
So fingers crossed. He has a good second outing at a convention.
Yeah,
and they actually give him the care and the attention that he actually needs as a guest, because guests do need care and attention. They need to be looked after well, because it is quite a thing to have seas of people coming at you, like, you know.
Yeah, they're not farm animals, and they talk to each other. Like someone's gonna go, "Hey, have you been to this Dublin Comic Con? Any use?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, they put me in a nice hotel. It was grand."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
everybody was lovely.
they will talk to each other. They're not going to come to some place where you're treated like that. Word's going to get around.
Yeah.
But
100%.
yeah, so that's terrible. His first experience, that's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the show is concerned, though, like they do it. Stranger Things is the thing that they've done since season 1, where they introduce a character. The character is unexpectedly, my camera's lagging, unexpectedly beloved by the fan base, and then that character gets killed off.
Hashtag
Justice for Barb.
Yeah. So
I've never
They
even
did that
seen the
30-second
show.
trailer for Barb's
Yeah.
Not Dead. You see that? That
Yeah,
was brilliant.
Yeah.
I want Justice for Barb, and I've never even seen it.
Yeah. So there was all this outcry when all of a sudden when Eddie appears and everyone was like, well, there's my new favorite character. Keep him safe. So it's like, yeah, like it is. We'll see what happens in season 5 and how that's going to be handled. But it's
Very surprised when you said season 5. I'm like, the way people reacted to this, I thought it was the finish, the finale. I thought it was done.
One more. I think the way people's stories are going, I think it's you can tell when something's drawn out, but this doesn't feel drawn out yet. Like I've been watching Stranger Things from the beginning. Like I watched all of them again before. Like I took an extra couple of days because I forgot it was coming out. Then it was on my stream and I'm like, hang on, what? And I went back and I watched it all again and like stayed away from the internet because that's how good it is. Like every year they build on it and they build on the characters. Like you're kind of watching it for the nostalgia, but you're also watching it for the characters. Any new character come in, you're like, it's not a 2-dimensional, like there's always stuff behind it. Like even with Max's brother, you know, like like he was such a bully and such an asshole, but you got to see why, and you got like he was in the last one, and then like as I said, I watched all the seasons up till this one, and it's funny, like for me, Eddie is a lot cooler than I was, but I as soon as I seen the D&D, but as soon as I seen Eddie get introduced, it reminded me of my days in Fairhouse when I was a rocker, because in Fairhouse there was only 5 rockers, and we all played D&D. Now, naturally, we didn't go, like after school, didn't go and kill demigorgons in real life. In D&D, we did, yeah. But like as soon as I seen him on screen, I was like, okay. And I was worried because at that time period, there was that like D&D is people, they all worship demons and are devil worshippers and all this stuff. And it was funny. Anything that happens in America usually takes around 10 years. And I do get flashback about 10 years in the 1996, I think. I have a bit wrong. We were playing down we used to play it every week on a Sunday down in a friend's house. And
what gen did you play, Darren?
Dungeons and Dragons. It's
no, which gen?
No, the edition, third ed, yeah. Which you're probably surprised at. Also second ed, but that we don't have any whiskey here.
Yeah.
Second ed and third ed. But yeah, so it was funny. I do remember walking in to play, and then I did a kind of like a Father Ted thing. I was like, I hear we're all, demon worshippers now, Father. But so it was just like it took 10 years and it finally hit here. But to see that on the Netflix, to see those characters, one character, as I said, that reminded me a lot of my youth, was cool, and he was done really, really well. Like I know at the beginning, like him at like he's blamed for like for the murder. My brain's gone on the character now, because he only has the first season. Chrissy, yeah. I got the song on my head that they've done, but yeah. So I was like, oh, is he going to be one and done? Like, is he, but they really, even him, they built up so much so that like you're really looking forward to seeing how he gets on with the rest of the group and what happens to him next and whatnot.
Yeah.
And all the other characters, like them being, you never split the party, and to see that, and to see the nods to, again, Chrissy, like being, one of the populous girls in school, having this other side where, like she needs the drugs for the dreams and whatnot, but you kind of get a hint that there's something else as well. But again, I think it keeps on, like they seem to know their plan of where they're kind of going. Like they had the demo garden on the first one, the demo dogs, the hint at the mind flayer, the meat mind flayer, and now Vecna. And I just kind of like, I feel like this season now, season 5 will probably be the end one. They'll get it all, because all those actors are becoming well known now. they're starting to branch out, and that's the thing. And they've like kind of like, because of the pandemic and whatnot, they've aged, and some of them have gotten really tall, and that's kind of, you'd have to do that kind of like a couple of months or a couple of years have happened. But sorry, Kim, I interrupted you when you were saying like about like you were surprised that it'd be done now. But my point is that it feels like one more season, and then I'd be happy with it, because I don't want it to. It's so good, you'll watch it again and again. And it's
that's
very
good,
hard to
as
say that
long
about a TV show.
As long as the last season doesn't rip its
Yes.
entire heart out, which
Yes,
is,
unfortunately.
not to mention any show that has come up in the course of this conversation already. But we had like the watchability of shows absolutely destroyed by how they finished.
Yeah.
Like the rewatch.
That's true.
It just devalued instantly. And the impact this has had on people, it's like everybody, like from like, there's, what's your age recommendation? What's your youngest age recommendation for this? Like 12?
Yeah.
12.
Yeah,
12.
12.
Yeah. Say 12.
Yeah.
Darren, every time you say rocker, so nobody said that in the country when I was growing up, presumably because there were fucking none, but every time you say rocker, I picture lads on the beach in Brighton fighting mods.
Oh.
And the idea of these lads on their
rockers, like that's what it always was. Like Fibber McGee's, and was it? Oh God, I can't remember the pub around the corner. It's gone now. I had all the scangers, and there would always be worry of a fight happening because they were so close together.
The back
But Darren,
the back gate. I used to go through the back gate to get to Fibbers because there was no bouncers back in the day when I was underage.
I accidentally went the other way from Fibbers through see where this led, and had a beer and left.
Well, like, you calling yourself a rocker sounds like you taking on the thing that was shouted at you by scangers. Like, Darren Conway's
owning the word.
Hippie, flip on my kids.
When we used to go around to Andy Murray's, we used to always get called hippies every Sunday, like bloody clockwork.
You're just
for 3 or 4 years.
Incorrect in their insight.
Yeah, I know, right?
We got revenge, or should I say, I got revenge, because I'll never forget it, because we walked past them, and just before they shouted it, I turned around and said, like, "Shut up, you fucking hippies!" And for about 3 weeks, now I was 6'2", 6'2", 6'4" with my new rocks. So they heard me say it, and they kind of like, let's get. No, hang on, he's too tall. So, but anyway, I said this, and it took around about 3 or 4 weeks before they got with the response. And the response, now they stopped it. Every time we walked by them, they didn't say it again. And then 4 weeks later, I'll never forget it, they did reply, and their response was, "Did you call me a fucking hippie a couple of weeks ago?" And I just laughed and just continued on.
Yeah,
I don't remember
wow.
happening ever well before we stopped being rockers and whatnot. But it was funny.
Would you, because the only people like metalers were metalers, but like fans of rock music were just people. So
Well,
I think you were a metaler, no?
It was all in one. Like, all music were in Tala anyway. Was we call ourselves rockers, and
right.
But and then when you got to Fibbers, well, no one called you anything because we were all the same, and you were chatting.
All the same,
just all weirdos.
We're all weirdos together,
All weird together, exactly. Can I, as a weirdo, can I just say one of my favorite little nods because it's fresh in my brain, in Stranger Things, when they go to visit Dustin's girlfriend and the house is mental, kids running around, and then her sister is just a little Ali Sheedy from the Breakfast Club.
Pretty much.
I had a little squee moment when I saw her.
I gotta love the goth kids just looking for quiet somewhere.
The worry, Kim, about the whole thing not landing in the 5th season, I think it's unfounded, because unlike previous shows that we've been subjected to shitty last couple of seasons because of the change of writers or the lack of source material that's been based on, the Duffer Brothers are in control all the way through. It's their baby. It's their thing from start to finish. They have a plan, and you can see it. It's everything. Every single.
You can always
season.
tell when people have a plan.
Yeah, like I think that's why it's resonating so well, because I think, unfortunately, with a lot of pop culture at the moment, it's very disjointed, and that's been like the Marvel and the Disney thing, and like the current. And I get asked this by a lot of people say this to me in work and just having conversations, water cooler type stuff. It's like, all of the phases of Marvel seem to have had a plan all the way through. Whereas this current phase of Marvel stuff seems to be very disjointed, very kind of like individual things doing their individual things.
Maybe deliberately, Wayne. Maybe deliberately.
Sure.
Feige still got his entire grips on that. But this is like perfectly formed arc. The world ends. It's put back together, #time heist. And then they can be a bit more experimental. But compare like the Marvel TV shows to the Star Wars TV shows.
Yeah.
It's quite obvious they haven't got a Feige, and I'm sorry, Kathleen. Like,
well, no, they don't. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like there's a lot. I am no simp for the Marvel universe, but they still, you'd know they were related.
Well, yeah.
No matter how spun off it is.
I think definitely with the
closer
movies,
it is
maybe.
to the core, the closer it is to the core, Wayne, the harder it is to tack on to the fact that the blip happened. Do you know what I mean? So
Sure.
they want to get as far as they can without having to like go through the minutia of why Peter's schoolmates are there or not there or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I trust them. Is the stupid? Oh, that's a very fucking simpy answer.
But I mean, it's the thing about it is that it's Stranger Things is very much its own contained world, and the Duffer Brothers have actually said that there's going to be offshoot stories that are going to come out of this. They're going to like this. The Stranger Thing show is going to be there, and when that ends, you're going to have stories within the world of Stranger Things, offshoots, other parts of it. There are some threads still hanging from season 3 that haven't been answered. They're like there's individual characters that appeared, one in particular that appeared in season 3. I think it was season 3. Yeah, season 3. Yeah, appeared in season 3 and then was in it for like 2 episodes, and then we don't know what happened to them afterwards. And they're quite they were central to their episodes, and they link in with the story of 11. So there are some unanswered story plot threads and different things. But I think I as far as shows go, it's one of the tightest written, plotted out, acted. And yes, it has its stunt moments where you have stunt casting in roles that you kind of go, I can totally understand. Like Paul Reiser turns up in it as a doctor involved in the experiments.
He's been doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he has been in other shows as well. But he turns up in this in season 2, and you're kind of like, fucking don't trust him.
Yeah, straight away.
Don't trust him. And he starts calling people kiddo. And for anyone that's a fan of Aliens, you know.
It took a second, but when Burke, the company man Burke showed up, to me.
Yeah.
But when he showed up, I'm like, nope. But the more growth, and even now you're like, I'm still waiting, you know.
Yeah, but that's the stunt casting, you see. Paul Reiser got that reputation with sci-fi fans in particular and horror fans in particular because of Aliens.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm not wrong. Like, he's been vanished for 20 years, right?
He has, but he did that thing with Helen Hunt, that show with Helen Hunt that was extremely popular. That everyone
mad about you. That was in the 90s, though.
Exactly. I know, but you have to remember.
I'm saying he's got that mad about you money, so we haven't seen him showing up. By the way, David Schwimmer has that Friends money. Where the fuck is he advertising mobile games? We'll get back to that. Anyway, no, but he has been living off that. Like, he hasn't shown up. Like you said, Aliens, like it's just a thing that just happened, like stunt casting. You're like, no, bitch, that was his prime time working time. He has been retired.
My point is that Aliens lives within the zeitgeist infinitely. So Aliens is a film that like, if you say to somebody, you know, give me a space movie that's got action and, you know, a lot of gore in it, they'll go to Aliens straight away. It's a zeitgeist film, so he lives in the zeitgeist. And Stranger Things is a show that is basically it's basically birthed from the zeitgeist. Everything in it is from that nostalgic idea. And to have him in something from the 80s and playing a character that he plays feeds into the Burke idea. So anyone that knows him from Aliens, when they see him in this particular role, they go, I don't trust that prick because he's actually using phrases and language that the character of Burke
No.
used.
And fans of Aliens are automatically going to be drawn to Stranger Things.
And
Most of the fan base are going.
Well, I think people watching Stranger Things are significantly younger than y'all, and so they'll be discovering Aliens after this.
Sure.
I think in the same way
I hope so.
that they may have heard Kate Bush. But Wayne, I thought you were going to tell me that all this time that Paul Reiser's been pinging up in like Doom movies and fucking, and the Halo TV show. And I was just, no, but he's been gone. Like, okay.
Well, let's go ask Google that. I want to see what Paul Reiser has been doing with himself all through the years.
While Wayne's Googling, the hold music will be me listing off some of the voice cast wasted and frittered in Minions Rise of Gru. Okay. We've got Alan Alda. No, the other one. Why do I always do that?
Which one?
Why do I always do that? Oh my god. Oh, I'm such an idiot. The other AA. Anyway, I'll come back to that. Jean-Claude Van Damme has about 2.5 lines.
Right.
Dolph Lundgren and Lucy Lawless are in a thing where we can't see them. So excuse me. No.
Okay.
We have, oh my God, we got so many people in this. Danny Trejo is in it. Will Arnett is in it. John DiMaggio is in it. None of these characters do anything at all. The Minions don't speak in Minionese. One of them is speaking Spanish. One of them is speaking German. One of them is speaking French. It's so stupid. Steve Carell, obviously. Oh my God, not Alan Alda, the other one. Big, tall, gorgeous, very old man. Oh my God. I'm having a brain fart. Anyway, if you put Lucy Lawless in a performance where I can't see her, how very fucking dare you? And the animation fucking terrible. And the design, the aesthetics are disgusting.
So the DreamWorks found this one in, didn't it? It's purely found in.
Alan Arkin.
Right.
What did you say? I thought
Alan Alda.
From MASH, who I think is dead.
No, he's not dead. He's not dead.
Okay, thank God.
Hawkeye's still alive.
Michelle Yeoh, Taraji P. Henson.
The RZA.
Well, she actually has a character.
It just sounds like you're saying the lyrics from Vogue.
Yeah. Dolph Lundgren, Lucy Lawless.
You had DiMaggio in there. So, yeah. What was I going to say to you? Did you know this, right? Update on the Paul Reiser situation. Mad About You came back in 2019.
What?
Yep. They brought
with him and Helen Hunt.
Him and Helen Hunt came back.
Yes. There was a reboot of Mad About You. Wayne, by the way, I have to speak for the trees here. I speak for the trees. There is no way that Aliens has the cultural impact that Mad About You had, and it never will, because that thing's syndicated forever. So for us, yes. For the pros.
I'm going to lean in really close to my camera and go, you don't think that Aliens had a cultural impact compared to Mad About You?
Not what I said.
Not
what I said. Not what I said.
So
that
go
fucking cookie cutter comedy Thursday night wonder has 50 times the cultural impact on the general public that Aliens could ever have. We know we're niche. We know that. But
because you think it appeals to a bigger demographic.
Yeah, Paul Reiser is known for Mad About You, not for Aliens.
I would say there's a lot of nerds out there that, like, when they were 13, 14, was like, I got this video. Oh, sorry,
I would say not to the people I care about.
I will say this: Paul Reiser has worked continuously throughout the 90s and 2000s.
Can I extend my professional apology to Paul Reiser, please?
He was in a lot of shit. A
lot of shit.
Oh wow!
Oh, Polly.
Yeah, actually, and as I said, he was in loads of stuff.
Like what?
Stuff I haven't fucking heard of, but he's still in it.
So he's working.
Yeah, he was working. He was paying the bills. He's in a show called Red Oaks.
Gotta respect it.
TV shows.
For 3
Never
years.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. The Spy Who Dumped Me, which sounds like a spoof movie.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Spy Who Dumped Me is got is fucking.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's got a blah 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 blah.
Is that Melissa McCarthy? No, that was
no,
Spy.
it's Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis.
Oh,
He's
okay.
in that. So I mean, look,
I've seen
he
the
does.
trailer for
I'm
that.
gonna have
his
to watch
eye-
that because I love both of them.
Yeah, his IMDb page has got a lot of shit on it there, right? And then the more recent things you have from 2017 to 2022, you have him as Dr. Sam Owens in Stranger Things, and also he's turned up in The Boys as well. But the thing about his character in Stranger Things is that it uses, and this is the point I was getting around to, as the
I know.
chimpanzee on the Segway eventually
Yeah.
drives back into shot.
He
They
appears
use-
respectable, but you know that you shouldn't. Is that right?
So they use the idea of Burke, the character of Burke, and his dialogue and lines that he's famous for when he first arrives in to make you think this guy's untrustworthy. And then it turns out that he is the trustworthy one. He is the nice guy. He is somebody who's going to do the best for the people that are being wrong done by. The likes of Eleven and Will and the family and Hopper and all of them. And even in the later seasons, that's in season 2. You see a bit of him. I can't remember. Do you remember? I think you might see him in season 3 for a bit, and then in season 4, then he's back and
he's been in this all along.
He's been it since season 2. He turns up. Now you have to remember that each season is 10 episodes long, or between 8 to 10 episodes. So, and all the earlier seasons before season 4, you're talking 45 minutes to 50 minutes episodes. Season 4 is the season that got the hour and a half long, 2-hour episodes, which are big, chunky, meaty bits of entertainment. They're brilliant.
Very good.
So
name your 6.
One thing you guys might not be aware of, and it's something if you want, but apparently when they were touring for season 1 and doing interviews, the actor that plays Dustin actually said how the show will end. And there's rumor I think I watched the interview once and stopped it as soon as I realized, but that's out there. It might not but it kind of hints towards that they had a kind of like ending all along, or like the guys that did the Walking Dead comic. First thing when your man started writing and they started doing the art for that, is they knew exactly how it was going to end, and I'm hoping that's what they're going to do with Stranger Things. But yeah, there's apparently an interview when they're their first couple of interviews, and I think it's Gayton. He kind of says something, and I don't know if he just said it just to kind of joke with people, or I suppose we'll find out at the end. But I'm not going to hunt for it again until I have watched season 5 of Stranger Things and it's all said and done. And it turns out that the actor that plays Burke is actually the evil necromancer, and it was him all along. But
I did very similar to what Darren did. Myself and I went back and rewatched season 1 right up to 4, and it is very beautifully put together, as I've said before, and paced beautifully. But they say that there are hints from the very first season that Vecna has been there all along.
Did you pick up on them this time?
One of the major ones that you could guess at being, so in season 1, when Will gets taken, the very, very first time he gets taken to the Upside Down, you don't see what takes him. You just see a shadow in the forest. And it has disformed arms. Everyone thought it was a Demigorgon, but Demigorgons just eat things. They don't kidnap them. Apparently the plot point is Vecna was the one who brought Will to the Upside Down. And Will, the other theory is that Will is actually would have eventually become one of the test subjects in Hawkins' lab, because he is hypersensitive and has the penchant for the abilities that Eleven has.
Yeah.
And if that is true, what I would love to see in season 5, because there is a time jump, because you see it throughout it. As soon as Will is in Hawkins, he's able to sense everything, and he's very sensitive to the Upside Down and all the creatures, and he knows where things are. 11 should train him to use his abilities better. He'd be like their radar for their MASH reference.
That would be
cool. Be their radar when he know when stuff is about to happen. He'd be able to, because you can see it a bit in all of the seasons. But I don't know. Did Jill? Did you have a favorite moment up to episode 6 that you've watched so far?
God.
Because there's so many. But did you have a favorite moment?
text us when you're watching the last few episodes because I want to see it in real time, like your reaction, because people have been flipping. Have you avoided
Really?
spoilers?
No, I've managed to avoid spoilers. Yeah, like even like your artwork didn't spoil anything for me, but like the stuff that you put up of 1 and 11, you do a piece, and that went up a few days ago, so it was before I watched episode 6. But even that, I was like, oh, it's not telling me anything, but it's telling me something.
Wayne works fast. Wayne works very fast.
Very good.
He's inspired, and he
Well, no, that piece for anyone that doesn't know, I've been painting kind of little tribute bits to Stranger Things over the last couple of weeks, and
the Eddie Munson one was great too.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you. Irene requested the 11 and 1 piece. She says, I want them facing off in the rainbow room with the rainbows in the background. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. It takes me 2 days to do a painting, roughly, generally.
Yeah.
But but no, I didn't want to be posting anything spoilery at all, because I know there's still people out there that haven't seen it, so I don't like putting that type of stuff up online that will ruin anything for anyone. So,
So I think for me, you captured the Eddie Munson one, for example. You captured kind of Eddie's spirit and stuff, but didn't give anything away. You were asking me about a favorite moment. One of my favorite moments was when Nancy dressed Robin up so that when they were impersonating the fucking girls doing the thesis and trying to blag their way and to get an interview with what's his face,
Victor Creel.
Victor Creel, thank you. Robin was hilarious, but then she like came through in such a phenomenal way with her like bazillion words and her verbal diarrhea. It was quite awesome. Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments, I have to say.
Brilliant cast. Again, more stunt casting. There was like early on, I could see that there was huge influences from Nightmare on Elm Street in this season.
Yeah.
And the cast Robert Englund as that character in a
straight away. I clocked him straight away. I was like, holy fuck, is that right?
Yeah, my brother didn't. I had to kind of tell him, and then he was like, why is he in it? And I was like, do you not realize the nod they're giving? And I'm like, no. And it was like, then I told him, and he went, oh yeah. And I was like, oh yeah. But it was great. Yeah. Apparently he was giving interviews and he accidentally spoiled stuff.
It happens.
I didn't realize, because he's not that this is a big show, and I think he's a really famous 80s actor, but I don't think he's used to the kind of like, now you don't tell anyone. But yeah, apparently he was accidentally spoiling stuff, but he got quickly slapped on the wrist.
He let him away with it, like it's Robert Englund. He's a legend.
Indeed.
That's true.
So I mean, it's that type of thing. So yeah, Darren, did you have any favorite moments?
I'm trying to think. This season, I think my favorite moments, I'll have to keep secret until we've all watched it. But it's such a great show, and it's like there's like for certain scenes, I think still that scene with Harrison with the baseball bat against the Demogorgons, Demo Dogs back in the day. Like he's another character.
Season 2, is it?
I think the end of season 2, because I know because he had the baseball bat in 1 when he goes in when the Nancy and Jonathan are kind of like trying to summon the first Demogorgon. That's something I should put in, a Demogod. No, but this is when he's like, with the dogs, and he has to go out to lure them in. I always thought that was good, because again, he was kind of like from stereotypical 80s. I thought he was going to be the bully of the piece, where he's a dickhead to everybody, and he eventually turns on them and they defeat him or something. But he was so kind of, they must have seen something in him, and I think his character has been grown with Dustin, and I love the anything with them in it, like as a buddy team, has been brilliant.
Dustin and his 2 dads, Steve and Eddie.
Yeah. But there's loads of jokes and loads of memes out there, like and like
I love it.
It's brilliant. But like again, this is why we're talking about the show, because usually, and it says a lot for The Walking Dead, how it took me like maybe 8 seasons before I started remembering characters' names, whereas now, like I from off the bat, they know what they were going with these characters, and they were just making us enjoy them when they get their time on the show. And that would be my favorite for now, but I can't wait to talk about this when we've all watched it to see, and I'll probably remember other moments. But brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's a cracking show, and if Kim, I do recommend you go check it out and watch it. And
Right.
enjoy it. It is a fun show. Yes, I get what you're saying about the whole like the feel of it and the authenticity of
The same. It was the same with Super 8. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, have you ever noticed that anybody who tries to depict a very kind of niche setting, all they get is abuse? Whereas, like, some white lad from Dublin that's 28 years old writes about the Holocaust and we're all fine with it. But then someone who was kind of in the community writes about it and people go, that wasn't my experience. I'm so intolerant of anything in my life being represented in media. I can barely watch things with Irish people in them. Like, I'm like, but I'm not like that. Like, God, it's debilitating. Like, I can't watch normal people. It's never going to happen. It can't happen. Yeah. I can't do it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can barely listen to
have a word with yourself, would you, love?
I know. It's what, like, is it self-loathing? Is it like anti-Irish fucking like imposed? But anyway, enough about that. But if I see like nerds from the 80s and it's not me being oppressed, then I'm like, that's not what it was like.
Jesus Christ. So, like, how do you watch John Hughes movies at all?
They're rich. They're super rich. They're nothing like that's Fantasyland. That's Disneyland. I can watch that.
Sure.
Like, you know.
Well, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, a couple of the kids in Stranger
Things. They're all fingering each other. So, like, what the fuck?
Well, they definitely don't do that in Stranger Things. But
right,
I will say that in Stranger Things, a couple of the families are Reaganites. So, you know.
But that, yeah. I don't know what it was. I liked it plenty. And obviously we've got David Harbour and Winona Ryder. And so, you know, I'm talking obviously at the very beginning. And there's a kid missing. And all I see is good acting. So, like, what's my fucking problem? Yeah. I think my issue was others were raving and I was lukewarm and there was so much golden age of television happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's looking for any excuse not to watch things. Like, I'm way, way, way too forgiving of worse shows. Like, I really watched 4 episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, you don't have time for this, bitch. This is terrible. You do not have time for this. You do not have time for Captain America's bank loan. You don't. So, like, you know, and then Moon Knight.
You just found the name of the episode.
Yeah,
I watched Moonlight. I watched Moonlight. I thought Moonlight was great.
I watched 3 episodes. And I'm like, I see what you're doing, but I do not have time. But thank you.
So hang on a second. Let's circle back here, okay? So if this is the critique we're getting of Falcon and Winter Soldier and of Moon Knight, let's go back to the comments you made about, like, you know, Feige's in charge of this and he has a plan and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So that doesn't track.
I didn't say no. He's not like Feige's.
Just because he has a plan doesn't mean Kim's on board with every aspect of it.
Yeah,
but, you know.
Yeah, there's a certain, but the level of quality I'm getting is absolutely fine. Like Loki was fine. These are all good shows. They would be great shows if they were released in 1994. Like, Jesus, do you know how much Lois and Clark I watched? Jesus Christ! And if that came out now, it would be a joke. It would be so funny. That Ron Perlman Beauty and the Beast show would be the funniest thing that ever happened. And commentary YouTubers would just spend 3 months covering it. Yeah.
There is a new Superman show.
There is,
there is a new Lois and Clark.
They just changed it in Superman and Lois.
Yeah, so they now have kids. It's like it's actually very good, and it's one of the best versions of Superman on screen.
Sorry, it's out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did they not think advertising it to me might be a good idea?
See, where is it? So this is one of the detriments of streaming services, and also America.
Oh, it's not available here.
Not available here. So
it's available.
It's one of those shows that gets a like a little spot on BBC One on a Thursday night where we used to watch shows back in the day before we had streaming services, right?
Yeah.
But it's released on the streaming services on HBO Max, I think it is, because or whatever the CW. It's a CW show, so it's in there with like the
Arrowverse
CW show. Right? But it's actually very well done, and it's one of the best representations of Superman I've ever seen.
I don't know.
Who's playing Superman?
What's his
An unknown.
name?
Is
No,
it-
you'd know him.
If
You'd know him.
it's not Smallville, I don't care.
God, I just got an image in my head of Brandon Ruth in Scott Pilgrim, and now I want to ring him.
He did such a good job. He
skinny,
was
watching
in
it, you know?
Supergirl for a bit, the TV show, playing Superman, which was kind of like, really, they're letting him do
Yeah.
it, and he was so good
Yeah.
at it. They said we got to do a show with him, and
I remembered his name because I always make a joke of it because his name is Tyler Hoechlin, but he has a really pronounced chin, so I call him Tyler Ho-Chin.
Of course, as he
'cause-
probably got called in school.
Yeah, I don't know if you. Let me just bring up a picture of him here for you. I don't know if you can see this, but that's him.
Oh my God! It's like a comic.
Yeah.
it's funny because
So look at the chin, but look at the chin. That's Tyler Ho-Chin. Look at the chin.
Oh, he's so perfect.
Yeah.
there's a picture of him standing beside the man that played Clark in Smallville, and like, you know, he's so skinny and Clark is buffed, but I keep on forgetting Superman's not meant to be buffed. He's meant to be normal, but he just has superpowers. But
No, he can
too buffed, if you get me. Not like
Yeah.
God, can't remember his name, but he he was really. I'll show you this picture later.
Not like was
But he
Tom
looked
Welling
really
jacked? Was Tom Welling jacked in Smallville? No.
Tom Welling was a teenager. He was
But
meant
he's
to
jacked
be like,
now.
Good.
Yeah.
Or he wasn't the
Good,
picture I seen with he was beside the new Superman, because there was a crossover in the Arrowverse that I just didn't understand. Oh Jesus, hang on.
Jesus, that's perfect.
Maybe he's more jacked.
In
like
the
that.
words
Right.
of Liz Lemon, he looks like a 50s astronaut.
I want to go to there.
I want to go to there.
Yeah.
Guys, Pubcast group costume. We got Scott Pilgrim over there. We got Brandon Flowers over there.
hang
And
on, where are you
Darren can
pointing
be
at?
Brandon Ruth. Okay, yeah, because the order is wrong. Wayne as Scott Pilgrim, Jill as Ramona Flowers, me
know
as
how to
Brie
type that.
Larson's character, and Darren as Brandon Ruth in that. Or Chris Evans.
Well, everyone knows
Chris
that if you're
Evans.
vegan, you get
Yeah.
superpowers and grey hair.
Oh, I've seen you dress up. You've worn wigs before.
Scott Pilgrim's an asshole, though.
Yeah,
He's
you
an
don't have to.
asshole.
You don't have to treat knives like that. You just have to dress up. Jesus.
Okay.
So
I just think we
rude.
should
Rude.
let's just cosplay Sex Bomb. Like that's all we need to do.
Oh, Sex Bomb, yeah.
Like, we already have a Kimmy, so you know
Thanks,
it's fine.
Kimmy.
There you go.
You can sit in the corner, play Nintendo. It's fine.
Yeah. No, I was actually watching. I was watching Scott Pilgrim earlier on because I think that film. I think
You were?
yeah, because
Brilliant
it's
film.
fucking perfect. It's a perfect
I
comic
watched
book
it in
movie.
years.
It is.
Oh.
It's one of the best adaptations of a comic book ever because it actually is a comic book movie. It's the literal comic book in film form.
Mhm.
It's like I'm trying to remember back to the reception it got. I can't really remember because I
Didn't
just
do
Mutant.
well, but like,
Mutant.
Yeah.
Bro, like
People
The
didn't-
normies
raving
didn't understand it.
yeah.
in tiny pockets, raving in tiny pockets. Like we had sex wees, as you know. Like just it was just we were just in the pocket for that. Like we really were.
Unreal
And,
cast.
um,
Unreal cast.
Yeah, it was like but it underwhelming at the box office, but that's fine.
I felt
It's
terrible for
again that's
Edgar
going to live
Wright.
forever.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it
a
was
cool
one of those.
classic.
It's one of those. Like it does have. It's one of those films that has constant screenings around the world that Edgar Wright goes to.
It was nice
Always.
of Kieran Culkin to get himself another nice meaty role in Succession, just to beef up Scott Pilgrim's watchability. It was nice of everyone to get super famous, Brie Larson and Chris Evans, everyone to just push themselves up. We need Brandon Routh to come out again. I think it's Routh rhymes with mouth. Routh, Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
He,
Right.
you know, he needs another role. He is great. He was
Well, he was. He did.
He was
put
great in
well
Agents of Shield. Agents of Shield. Not Agents of Shield.
Legends of
Legends of
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. The other
He-
one.
Yeah, he
Oh,
played.
the other
He
one,
played. He played Ray Palmer in Legends of Tomorrow, in another CW show. So he's done the CW circuit, and he's
Yeah.
found.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Well, no, he had some bad luck in roles because he got a couple of roles that should have done well for him.
Right.
Obviously, Superman, but he
Came
did.
back and he did Superman as well.
He
in
did
the-
again in the CW show. He got to return to the Cape and he got to play him again. And And then he was actually Dylan Dog in the Dylan Dog movie. If you don't know who Dylan Dog is, it's a French supernatural comic book, and it is beautifully, the art in it is just, but it's a fantastic book as well. I think you can track the English translations of it, but there was a film made of it, and he got to play Dylan Dog, but the film tanked. It's kind of like it's like a European Constantine. That's kind of what it is.
It's a shame. It's a shame when they do great work and it's just kind of lost. But it is luck. It's all luck in this game. Wayne, I feel like I have honored the spirit of Boris Johnson. He had his last Prime Minister's questions today, and he didn't answer a single one of them. And I feel like I absolutely danced out of that stranglehold you had on me there. You had me banged to rights, and I'm just like talking about something else. But yeah, I feel like Marvel are spinning off, but at any moment he could just pull it all back in if he really wanted to. But also I think there's an awareness of the fatigue level that people are at, because they managed to make us care so deeply. We have compassion fatigue. Like there was big stakes there for a while, so let them piss about for a while. Whereas I think Star Wars and DC are trying to make us care, but in a very artificial way. There's no heart to any of it.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. I think, yeah. I mean, I couldn't care less about the DC films, haven't for the longest time. Speaking of the DC films, speaking of trust, the latest news that came out about the Snyder Cut, apparently the Snyder Cut hashtag and all that stuff that was like run on Twitter. All that stuff that happened, it turns out to be bots. So it was like, bots started it off and fueled it. And then apparently there was money put behind these bots, and that's what pushed the fever of it. Now, look, I'm not surprised. Like, I am literally Jack's lack of surprise here about this entire fucking thing, because we've seen elections in America won that way. So yeah, for Zack Snyder to get his movie made that way, I'm not really that surprised. It was a toxic movement that got it made. So, fuck them. And it was still a 4.5 hour sad wank of a movie.
The thing is, like, if you make a beautiful movie and nobody likes it at the time, there's a chance it'll be immortalized at some point. It'll get discovered at some point. If you do good work, you'll get rewarded at some point. Somebody will kind of find it. But the problem with bots looking for all this is we've met people who have a similar personality to a bot, and it's indistinguishable at times. We've met people where you're like, okay, did you practice that? Okay, I'm going to talk back now. Oh, you didn't practice for that. So this, okay. Oh, you're running away. Okay. But being our kind of scary society has rendered a lot of people about as interactive as bots. So they're indistinguishable online.
Just before we were talking about what Brandon Routh was doing before. I can't believe I forgot this, because this show.
Who was doing before, Darren?
Superman, Brandon Routh.
Oh yeah.
One of the he made an appearance in The Rookie, which is Nathan Fillion's current show. He plays a rookie cop that goes into the police force in his 50s. I love watching it. It's one of my it's a show I always watch when it's out. But he makes Nathan Routh makes an appearance in it for a bit in, I think, season 3, season 4. I'm not going to spoil it, but even just to track down, he plays another cop. But you get to see him at another side to him and acting, and it was really, really good. And that's why I always keep an eye out to see what he's next doing, because like he played a really, really nice character, in DC, and you get to see other sides to him in The Rookie for the I think he's in 8 episodes, and but this is why I'm surprised he's not doing more. Really am, and hopefully he will.
Yeah.
Also, there's a current Nathan Fillion show. Why is nobody advertising this stuff to me?
It is. It's on TV, but it's badly promoted. Like I found it by accident, And like, unfortunately, I've had to, there's internet in them there hills, and that's where I've been going to watch it.
Okay.
But it's I can see why it's on it's season 5. About to have season 5, but
get that bag, sis. Is it propaganda, Darren?
It's just telling you. It's sadly, it's like they don't seem to like. One good thing about the show is that when something happens, they don't forget about it like other shows.
Oh, right, okay.
It's showing you what it's like to be a cop, and it touches on like the certain things that are happening in our world today. Without going into it, it's a very good show. Sure, there's action, but there's a lot of like current events and like how the police force are dealing with it. Also, there's a bit of comedy in it as well, which you need. But you're also getting to see Nathan Fillion trying to be a 50-odd someone becoming a rookie. And
is Nathan Fillion good looking in it?
Oh, he's an absolute ride. Oh. He's an absolute ride.
I think it was probably the worst or the best. I can't decide. It's out of the worst of times or the best of times, with giving Kim that microphone to actually be able to.
Hey, as soon as I figure out how to get mine working, you're fucked from this side as well.
It's kind of weird, right? If you think about Nathan Fillion, right?
Yeah,
we all think,
and we do,
and yes, I am.
Sure. So the roles we think about Nathan Fillion in are generally his nerdish, sci-fi-ish roles, I guess. Really,
yeah.
Captain Mal Reynolds being the main one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's summertime and there's windows open because it's hot, so there's moths flying into my house. So
Late moths, what?
Yes, surrounded by moths. I know.
What? Nathan Fillion hasn't done a geeky role in fucking forever. He's just been doing these.
If you do a definitive one, you only have to do one.
That's it. Like he's been doing these procedural cop shows since forever now. That's it. But I mean,
get that bag, sis.
Yeah. But whenever you see him doing anything online, it's kind of like the nerd sphere just kind of flock to him. But like the shows that he's doing is just procedural cop shows. He's doing The Rookie, and then he did Castle before that, which was a bit different, and did have its nerd moments in it for the fans, I guess, because it was very close to when he did the other things.
Oh yeah,
he hasn't. Him
and Alan Tudyk briefly had con men. They were playing heightened versions of themselves.
Yeah,
Alan Tudyk does make a cameo or two in The Rookie.
The Rookie.
Brilliant. That's why I thought it was going to get cancelled, because you see his face.
Oh yeah, you do.
I got worried, but no. So
the kiss of Tudyks. Yeah, the kiss of Tudyks. Like as soon as the kiss of Tudyks comes along, you're fucked. That's it.
But
is that the name of your sex tape too? Yeah, the kiss of Tudyks. Anyway, can we talk about The Boys, please?
Yeah, we can if you want.
I'm gonna take my headphones out.
Okay.
You guys can talk.
So oh my fucking God. I really thought we were heading for the end. I really thought that we were heading for like, and I'm annoyed there's more, and also delighted there's more, because that is the most uncompromising, enjoyable, like a big fucking pie TV show. No notes other than Huey's body was a bit too good, but no notes. And I gave money to Jeff Bezos, and I fucking said I was never going to do that again. And they got me to do it because that's how good the show is. It's so good. Poor Brazil will never be right. He'll never be right again.
He
had no preparation for that. The first episode.
The first fucking scene.
Yeah.
He'll never be the same again. Never. I don't know what kind of little dirty, depraved bastard I was, but I've seen so much ultra violence that was just like.
you blame that on me. I got a message from Kim saying, because you gave me Ishi the Killer all those many years ago, that ruined me for life. I'm like, we just lived in the same house, and a copy of Ishi the Killer happened to be there.
When things would be on, audition would be on, and I would be around. So I had my vaccination for that. Like I was ready, and this was my booster. But poor Brazil, he's never going to be the better of that. But like that's no good. All that stuff is fine if you have nothing else. Like if you have if it's just spectacle after spectacle, you're gonna run out of spectacles, and it's very hard to come back from episode.
I don't think they'd run out of
season
spectacles in your house, Kim.
3. But I will like it's so melodramatic and it's so earned. The stakes are that high because they're that high. Like everyone's up to 90 because this is what the stakes are. This Homelander, holy God.
Anthony Starr.
I've never seen, like, I have a problem with people being recognized for most acting. Like people in the best acting category end up being the people doing the most acting. Like, oh, I'm yelling at a woman for 20 minutes, so I'm going to get an actor. I'm going to get a nomination. Or, like, I'm very, the nuances are what get me. I love an old nuance for myself. But Jesus Christ. Oh, the way he flips his expressions. And I mean, I'm expressive, but holy God, lads, did he get nominated for an Emmy?
I don't know, because I don't really give a shit about that stuff, and I never watched it. I never looked at the nominations. But let me just have
because it doesn't matter, because if he didn't, then it means it's absolutely worthless, because holy fucking God, he's in nearly every scene, and that's what he's doing. And I care about everybody. I care about everybody in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And every season that comes on, I'm like, well, how are they going to follow this? And then, I'm not, as a parent, the idea of this child getting raised by this thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of whoa.
Painful. That's all I have to say. What I have to say is, dear God, oh my God, Jesus Christ, all of the cultural deities that we have in this country. I could not believe
Dustin the turkey.
There was there was Panty Bliss. I can't believe there was nothing to say. You're like, yes, carry on. Yes, very good. Off you go.
I'm looking here through the nominations, and he is not listed. He's not listed. I don't see the boys listed for anything. It's literally Succession, Ted Lasso, Succession.
Barry, all the boys against each other. I get that.
All that type of shit. I think, so
excuse your mouth.
What?
Great show, but I presume the fact that it's
no, it's not. It's not. It's like these are the obvious choices for these type of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not surprised Succession is listed there throughout the entirety of it, but I'm like,
there's only so many places. But Anthony Starr, I've never been so genuinely scared of somebody. I know it's a TV show, but I was genuinely uterinely scared of him.
There's no Superman equivalent to Homelander. It's pretty much as if Superman has like gone nuts. So no one's. That's why he's so scary. No one can stop him.
And then you're like, Soldier Boy comes along, and you're like, oh shit, oh fuck, it gets worse.
Another twisted version of Captain America. Half the stuff are lies. That this guy is. Yeah, that he hasn't done half the things he says, but he believes that he's done it. Well, it's dangerous. And then you find out all the bullying and everything. And
given the education system in the States and the UK about what has happened in the course of their history, this is the Captain America they deserve, But Jensen Ackles, like, I'd say there were people kind of traumatized seeing him doing that, but no notes. Perfect. And to find out that Jack Quaid was really funny in real life.
Yeah. The funny thing is like, the thing about the boys, the showrunner Eric Kripke is the same guy who created the show Supernatural, which gave Jensen Ackles his platform.
Yeah.
So for it to end the way it did this season, I was not in any way surprised, because it's an Eric Kripke show.
Oh yeah.
That's the way his seasons of Supernatural would end. They'd have this big build up to a finale. There would be a finale.
People would be hanging on the end.
But there'd be a finale. Stuff would happen. You go, right, that's resolved. But it's like, what the fuck are we going to do? And that's, you could see the next season seeds being planted very quickly in the finale.
You have to do that. If you're going to cliffhanger, if you absolutely drop off the cliff, it's annoying because there's no closure on the thing you just watched.
Yeah.
But if it's too, so you kind of being teased of what elements are going to be included is very important. Like when Newman was talking to Huey at the end of the last season, I was like, fuck, and like that's so good. I didn't see any of that coming. There's no way Stan Edgar is just going to nicely retreat into a prison cell. He was also terrifying, but just Boolabus. Also Huey, that's my aesthetic, this straight up and down pole.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the ladies out there, they're probably just tossing a coin up between Homelander and Butcher, or Mother's Milk is like, again, like it's a show very
like, but Frenchie as well.
Frenchie's the sensitive type, but it's for the people to be watching it with their tongues hanging out in that regard. There's a smorgasbord of attractive people in this show. But it's also
Butcher's out for me because I said no notes. It appears she's come up with 2 notes. Whoever's tinting Butcher's facial hair, fucking stop about 7 minutes earlier. Just about 6 to 7 minutes earlier. Just wash it out. Secondly, Maeve's wig. What are we doing? It looks like oh my God, I forget Alison Janney's character. CJ looks like CJ's season 5, season 6 wig. Like we can't do better than that. Like, she was giving me full on wigdar for like some of the seasons, and it's or some of the episodes. But it's so important. Like, it's so important that also is the Starlight. Like, there should be nothing in that character that I can understand, given her background and given what she's doing. But her fucking grit and her resolve, and she's only wee.
Yeah. See, the whole thing about The Boys, the comic book, it's like, and they've managed to do it with the show, but in a different way. The comic book was a product of its time when it was written and when it was published.
Yeah.
And it was showing America in sharp relief. It was like holding up the mirror to that world and going, here, you're in bits, go on, sort yourself out. And I think it reminds me of the Garth Marenghi quote of like, I know writers who use subtext, they're fucking cowards. Like that's what The Boys is to me. Yeah. It's like it's literally like, the whole thing about, like, they even aped on one of the fucking, that waste of skin family, the Kardashians. They aped on one of their
when they did Kendall's ad. I died. I was laughing so hard.
Like, it's not subtle. Like, this is sledgehammer TV. It's like, it's a brick in a cop's face situation.
Yeah,
that's what it is, and it doesn't apologize for it. And if you don't know that going in, you're not going to have a good time.
One thing I will say is you can tell it was a COVID shoot because of how sparse the crowds were in the crowd scenes, because I know they had the money to jam them together, but I know they weren't allowed. So I think that was unfortunate, especially at the rallies near the end.
The finale with literally one of the last scenes with Homelander, when he lasers that guy, and then everyone cheers him, and he's like, "Fuck, okay, all bets are off."
Wasn't everybody was that prick.
Yeah. But now Homelander knows he can get away with everything he does, and people are going to back him. So it's just like, oh. But
I mean,
did anyone else, when they put the disclaimer on for episode 6, watch it and kind of go, what was the disclaimer? And then realize they have watched too much. Because I was there watching it going to go, why was there a disclaimer? There was not. And then I was like,
it was just all flaming dicks and stuff. And
like 3 heads
Sing it down.
episode. 3 heads explode every episode at
Yeah.
minimum, and it's proper sloppy, visceral. None of this CGI nonsense. Like, I love that they actually, in the Hero Gasm episode, they said they ran out of fake jizz because they obviously shot that scene Butcher over and over again. Or sorry, with MM.
MM,
And like they
that was
obviously had
hilarious.
to do a few takes. So like they ran out of fake jizz. You're like, I appreciate you generating fake jizz. Thank you. Thank you for your
I think as well. I mean, it does speak to the American sensitivity about certain things on screen. The violence, if that was just a pure violent head popping episode, there wouldn't have been a disclaimer beforehand. It was the fact that there was loads of dudes hanging dong and flaming dong and telescopic dong and all this type of stuff. That's the reason why we got that disclaimer. It wasn't for anything
More
else.
people see Legend of the Overfiend and they wouldn't have to put
Can I tell you my favorite flavor of Americana? I was in my cousin's house and Schindler's List was on in the afternoon and her children were watching it. They were like, now they were big enough. They were like 10 and 12 or whatever. They were allowed to watch the inmates getting shot in the head from the sentry tower. But once their emaciated bodies were naked, they had to cover their eyes. So like starving people's breasts were more offensive than murder. And yeehaw, thank God I'm an American. And cut to that. Wayne, the intro music should be from Team America World Police. What would you do if you could tell all your life for freedom? Freedom costs a $1.05 is what I'm saying. Anyway, the fact that they weren't allowed to watch, like they were not sexy boobs, they were just naked people degraded, and they're like, nope, too rude, only murder for you.
Well, that's it, and it's we all know the state America's in. I mean, and The Boys is a pastiche of that, 100%. And it is irritating.
It is irritating that theme from like when did it come out, the 90s. It's a shame that the message is still valid.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, because like it's not as if they'd learn. Like it's frustrating to watch it because you think a lesson would have been learned somewhere. But as they say, when everyone accepted Columbine as being a thing, all bets were off.
It's too soon to talk about that. It's too soon to talk about that. Don't make it political, Wayne. But one of the things we've learned in this country, we have atrocious shit happening here constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And what has to happen is sunlight is a great disinfectant. The wounds have to be opened. Everyone has to come out and talk about this horrendous shit that happened. And it is raw and it's horrible and it's disgusting and nobody wants to hear it. But until it's out, it cannot get dealt with. And people have to air their dirty laundry in order to launder it. But you have to face it. If you're not going to face it, it's going to just fester. But The Boys, 10 out of 10, no notes.
Well, like the thing about it is as well, entertainment for the decades has been that. So like The Boys is probably the most in your face kind of look at this shit. This is what's happening.
Jizz in your face.
This is our commentary on weirdness and the obscenities and the just the out and out outrageous situation that the country is in.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s, it was a bit more subtle. They put it into zombie films. In the 70s and 80s, it was zombie movies and horror movies that were able to make those commentaries because only basically there was the small niche people that went to see those films. And nowadays, it's like it literally has to be that in your face to even, measure on any kind of Richter scale of what the fuck. you know?
People that found out Homelander was a bad guy in season 3.
Yeah. Which is just like they thought he was meant to be the hero. Like he was doing the good thing and Butcher was the bad guy. Now, don't get me wrong. Butcher's a bad guy, but like, you know, you're meant to be siding with Huey and you're meant to be siding with, you know, Starlight.
Yeah.
And then you have you know, my candidate for Tommy Irish Flynn when they make Half Past Angel the movie, the Deep, who was like,
what a mess! Oh, he's such a mess.
The Deep as a character is
just don't.
Yeah. Like he's the like Homelander has to have somebody to torture every season, and the Deep is that torture victim this season. Like forcing him to eat a squid. Kim, I'm just seeing your head from your. I'm just seeing you like this.
Yeah,
like
his squid.
His squid.
Live squid.
Yeah,
live and heard the
he literally
was just fucked up.
Yeah, he didn't have to do that, man.
He was completely tortured and messed up by the end of it, but still was hanging on to that loyalty because he wanted that bit of the pie. So that speaks to it. It speaks to the Ted Cruzes of the world, like, you know.
A-Train fucking killed me. A-Train killed me. You're just like, at any moment you could do something. At any moment you could do something. But, you know, you don't want to rock the boat.
And then in Herogasm, when he does,
yeah,
it's like it's if and like that. A Herogasm is, and here's the thing: like I can't imagine. Like I can understand why The Boys isn't nominated for Emmys because you can imagine
showing a clip from it.
Yeah, like Herogasm getting the nod for special effects in a show. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drag through the streets and what?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So yeah, I think The Boys has hit it out of the park fantastically this season, and hopefully they can continue it into season 4 without falling off a cliff.
Yeah,
it was like you could actually release the masterclass in gaslighting that Ashley did when A-Train woke up and she goes, so this is what happened to Blue
Falcon or something, or Blue Hawk.
Blue Hawk.
Yeah.
So what happened with Blue Hawk? Here's what happened. And he has, 15 milliseconds to decide whether he's on board and whether he wants to stay on the side his bread is buttered. And you're just, every moment I thought he might do something good. And lads, we're not going to, we don't need to say anything because we didn't have to. We were handed gently on a beautiful platter Black Noir story.
That was that's what I said, about the bullying, and you got to see it, and seeing how much of a tool Soldier Boy is, and then seeing what happened and why he wears the mask to what happened inside, and seeing all those cute cartoons that only he can see, but then realizing how damaged he is was just like, it took a couple of seconds. I was just, and then this goes back to Homelander and how fucked up he is. Like Black Noir, I thought was loyal up to, he was loyal up to the fact that he didn't tell, about Soldier Boy, but he would have done anything for Homelander. And Homelander was like, nope, and hand right through his chest and killed him dead. And you're just like,
into his guts,
doesn't care anything about.
But he's such a stone and a rock and an alien and impermeable. And then he cracks, and then he wants love, and then he wants adoration, and he's just fucked between each thing every 3 minutes, and we can't settle. We don't know which thing he wants in the scene that we're watching.
Mm-hmm.
And how very dare they do that to me. And also Boulabus, amazing. Also the animation of Black Noir's hallucinations was still better than the animation in Minions Rise of Gru.
Oh God, that says a lot.
Shockingly, fucking
amazing.
Shocking.
Look, the Minions franchise is literally just DreamWorks every couple of years printing some extra money for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it does.
Secret Life of Pets is better, but
no,
the
Minions
first
is
Minions movie was a silent movie. It was fun.
It had that Marcel Marceau kind of love to it, But no, look, the Minions has become that franchise where they just churn one out every year or two and stick it out when the kids are on holidays.
But
And
it
that's
takes so long to make animated movies.
Not I don't want to
actually,
get
maybe
overly,
not one that looks like that.
not one that looks like that, and not one that they have a pre-built universe ready to go. Like they're not building it from scratch. This isn't like a off the ground production. You know what I mean? It's not a new film that's been made from a brand new from scratch. They have all that pre-built. Like, you know, it's like they're just going back to the old Lego set they had 3 years ago and rebuilding the firehouse again. That type of a situation. And from the sounds of it, I haven't seen it. I don't plan to see it anytime soon. But from what you're saying, it's like it's cookie cutter type of a situation. They just plop them in.
Artless,
and
ironically.
Yeah. And we could probably get Jill back at this point, wherever she's vanished off to you know.
Jill is the. I'll text her.
But there was I don't know where I saw this debate. I don't know where I heard this or saw it, or it was the conversation of getting a known actor to voice a cartoon or a video game than getting a voice actor to play a role.
Like the voice actor could do 4 roles for you, but Renee Zellweger can only do that one and barely. So why are you doing this? Why are you? I'm sorry, I love Lucy Lawless, but why is Lucy Lawless a voice actor? But I honestly think Shark Tale did this. Shark Tale started all this. I blame Shark Tale for a lot of things, and that's one of them. Scott Aukerman's career stalling as a writer in Hollywood, the first cracks appearing in Will Smith's resume.
Getting back to the podcast, Strange New Worlds is finished. Did all?
Yes.
Kim, have you watched Star Trek at all? No,
I'm not your Trek fan.
Yeah, you might actually like this one.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like this one. It's actually.
I know it's great.
Yeah.
I know it's great. Can't. I'm struggling to watch the things that I'm legally obliged to watch. So it's not going to happen. I was hooring through the boys to get it seen before we had the podcast.
Yeah. Right, so we'll jump back into it. So that's the boys chat over and done with. Jill is back with us, and there's other stuff that's happened, like Strange New Worlds, the latest Trek show, finished its 10-episode run, and
fantastic.
went down in history as the first Trek series to have a really solid first season.
That's good to hear.
No other Trek show. See, it's a thing. It's
a thing, Trek. It is. It's a thing. We touched on, I think, last time.
Unless you don't count the original series, which is like as soon as that landed, it was a thing. But all of season 1 of Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, fucking Discovery, Picard, they've all had weak enough first seasons with pockets of excellence, smattered in between. But Strange New Worlds, without a shadow of a doubt for me personally, anyway, as a Trek fan, 10 episodes of pure excellence. Now, maybe that's it. It's 10 episodes compared to 22 episodes of Next Generation. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's that type of thing. But it's still 10 brilliantly written, acted, and paced episodes of Star Trek. Which is...
Disco and Picard have the same number of episodes.
Yeah.
Like of the modern shows, and they didn't hit the ground running with their first seasons in the way that Strange New Worlds has. They're just so good.
Would it be because people already knew what they were getting into, because of pretty much season 2 of Disco is, kind of a prequel to this? So that's probably why, because they got to see how cool he is as Pike. So
could have still flopped with the wrong writers, though, could have still taken its time to find its groove. Maybe shows don't have that time now because there's so much money behind them.
I was worried that it was gonna, as we were watching them week after week, that all I need is a bad ending or 2 bad episodes, But no, kept on getting better and better. More memorable moments, which seems to be a thing that you, especially when you binge watch them. But I suppose that's why it was good to see this each week. But even when you see something each week, the stories can be so boring that for me anyway, that I just don't remember them next week, because it was just meh, same old. Whereas a lot of these were there was key moments where you're oh yeah, still remembering. So I think it's been brilliant. I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, because season 1 itself built on all of the characters. Everyone got their moment to shine, which is something that the other newer Trek shows failed at doing. Discovery, especially. Discovery failed at it because like it got to season 3 and they expected us to care about these characters that they hadn't named yet. Like the bridge crew on Discovery didn't get fleshed out until the 3rd season of the show because they'd spent the 2nd season replacing them with characters like Anson Mount as Pike and Rebecca Romijn as Una as number 1, and then Ethan Peck as Spock. Didn't really get to be Spock in the season he was in Discovery because he was pretty much comatose for the entire fucking thing. So we didn't really get to see his version of Spock until this show, and he was fantastic as him. So I think Strange New Worlds succeeded where the other shows failed because the writers knew what they had to do in order to make it a successful Trek show. Actually make it a Trek show.
Yeah. Make
it episodic, make it about the crew, make it about the journey through space, and not about the emotions, not about the trauma that the character goes through in their life, and making the trauma the central character. Like, yes, there's trauma to Pike, but it's not what he's about. He overcomes it very early on, accepts it, and then it's the adventure and his life and what he's going to do with the time he has and who he's going to help with the time he has. He becomes a more hopeful character, even though he already knows his ending. Whereas the likes of Michael Burnham is just all dour and po-faced and not Trek. Trek is not meant to be po-faced. It's meant to be about the discovery. It's meant to be about the hope that these characters find as they explore the galaxy. Next Generation encapsulated that heavily. Yes, DS9 was a bit more grounded, but it still had that hope embedded in it. Discovery was just shitty situation after shitty situation. It was trying to be too many other shows. It was trying to be Battlestar Galactica. It was trying to be The Expanse. It was trying to be all of these shows that, while they may have taken cues from Star Trek, they made other things their own, and then they were trying to rediscover Trek by using other shows. It made no sense. So for me, that was what Strange New Worlds is. It was a return to form, and I gave a shit about the characters.
Yeah,
I gave about every single one of them. Even the red shirts that eventually died, you actually gave a shit. So yeah.
I always thought in Discovery, maybe now thinking back on it, I always thought season 1, the reason we didn't get to know the crew was because it was foreshadowing the captain. The crew we're not finding out about the crew, or they're not talking. Why aren't they? And it's because obviously the captain was, it wasn't the captain. He was from the other universe and he was evil. But no, it was just bad writing. Whereas in this, straight off the bat, the captain loves being in the Federation. He loves his job. He wants to go out there and spread the ideas of the Federation, meet new people, strange new worlds, so to speak. And you get to see all the other crew. And each crew has memorable moments that you want to see evolve. Like the doc about his daughter and how, we've already said we're heavily spoiling it, but how his personal transporter is holding his daughter because she's ill and she's dying, and the longer he keeps in there, the better chance he has of maybe finding a cure for it. And I was like, that just built so much on that character. The Andorian, which now I'm about to say it, I should have clicked, considering Scotty gets that kind of becomes that but it was but I love that. I think there should be more Andorian's crew, but Hammer, him being blind but still has all his senses, that bit where he gets all his crew to have dinner, and he cuts it, he does none of this replicating shit, and there that's how you first meet him, he's chopping stuff and all that. But he was the one I drew to. I think again back to there should be more Andorians. And then again, you put your emotions into these characters, and then when something happens to them, be it something small or something major, you're like, oh my god. But it's all the crew were so enjoyable. But as I said, for me, it was even Nurse Chapel, which actually took me it didn't click with me until a couple of episodes. Nurse Chapel from original track, and it was so cool to see her as a as a not a third dimension. Sorry, not a character just in the background. Like, you know, like she was, you know, it was cool to see her interactions with Spock. The underline that is, hang on, I think she's falling for Spock. Like, as I said, like, you got none of that in Discovery. Like, I still can't remember certain characters' names from Discovery. I don't know if I ever will. Whereas off the bat, like, again, I could go on about all the different characters, but like, it's great season 1. Can't wait for season 2. Like, I don't know if you guys have like favorite episodes, but I will say, well, I've got 3, and this is what I mean about, like, you can have good shows, like, like, one for me, a show that's serious has to have a little level of humor in it, like, just to show that, well, to trick you into the real, because usually at the bad moments there's just good moments as well. The bit, like, one of the third favorite was the one where which I didn't think we'd see, where Spock, he does a mind meld with his wife to be, and something goes wrong, and they're trapped inside each other's bodies, and you got to see the 2 actors acting that, and you got to see a side of, like, Spock that you wouldn't see. And then the other 2 episodes, which are kind of back to back, is the Gorn, especially the first episode, because that was a nod to Wrath of Khan, because they don't meet the Gorn, they only fight it ship to ship. And then the other season, when they go to the stress call, and it's pretty much a nod to Alien, where there's a couple of Gorn there's one Gorn, and then you find out there's more inside the ship, and then Hammer Down, as I like to call that episode, because of what happens. But it's like getting to see the monsters as well, and like what they look like. They will always be, for season 1 anyway, like my 3 favorite, like, episodes so far. Can't wait to see more. Can't wait to see what they do.
They do build well on what has come before, because the danger of doing a prequel series is that you kind of feel that you're retreading ground, and they do retread ground in this. They do go back over classic ideas and classic stories, even particularly in the finale, which is a fantastic juxtaposition of a classic original series episode, Balance of Terror. It's pretty much the same episode, but played.
Wise person once described it as the Monsters University problem. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, every sperm is sacred. So, like, there is, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like prequels, because there is an element of, you know, how it's all going to turn out. But I think they played it really well in Strange New Worlds.
Who's writing it, Wayne?
Oh, I want to say Alex Kurtzman is one of the writers on it. I can't remember the other writers on it, but I think Kurtzman is one of the main people involved.
Right.
The thing about it is what they've done, and it's very clever, is that, yes, like Darren said, we know that certain characters are going to come along in the history of the Enterprise and take over roles that are being filled by characters that we've never met before. But we do have familiar characters like Spock, Nurse Chapel. Uhura is in it as well.
Oh, okay. Oh,
right. We get to see.
She's phenomenal.
Uhura. She's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
beautifully cast.
This, but where is it showing? Is it Paramount Plus?
Paramount Plus, yeah.
Plus, unfortunately.
Do you, if you want, Kim, I can give you my sign-in.
Kim, you know the way you're staying at my house on Friday. Bring a stick, bitch.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna do the thing where we go tentacle to tentacle and transfer information?
Yep. That thing.
Tell people.
I'm gonna go and put that USB stick in my bag tonight.
Because you're such a ma.
Such a ma.
And
you'll remind me on Friday, and I'll go.
I will.
Yeah.
It's like there's characters in it that you know are going to come along, and like Nurse Chapel being one of the ones, the mainstays, that she's there all the way through the original series, played by Marjorie Barrett, who also played number 1 in the pilot episode, who is now being played by somebody else. So like Marjorie Barrett had multiple roles throughout the Trek. So the thing about the way they've done it, and particularly about the finale. So the finale for me was top tier Trek, the way it was done. Kim, and this is because I'm like, the 3 of us have seen it, so just I'm going to use Kim. You're going to be like the litmus paper,
sounding board.
Sounding board is that's the phrase I'm looking for. Sounding board. So in the original series, there was an episode called Balance of Terror, where Kirk and the Enterprise come up against the Romulans for the first time. Now in the original series, Nobody had seen the Romulans for about 50. They've been at war with the Romulans, but nobody had ever seen one, right? They'd never seen them. And it was just constant ship-to-ship battles or at a distance or whatever. And it's kind of like an old U-boat captain battle. And it actually came back again in Wrath of Khan. They used it for the finale of Wrath of Khan, where there's these two ships with no sensors going through space, and they have to kind of take pot shots at each other and outwit each other. The captains have to outwit each other. That was the original series episode with Kirk in the role, and how Kirk played it out with his bravado and how he beat the Romulans. And then there was the whole story of the fact that the Romulans are actually offshoots of the Vulcans, and they look similar. They get to see a Romulan for the first time ever. Ridges, and all of a sudden, they have slight ridges on their head, and they've still have the pointy ears, but they look like Vulcans. Yeah. And there was the underlying bigotry that Spock was afflicted to by crew members in the original episode. In the original episode, he got that, and he was like, "They just look like you. What the fuck?" And like there was a moment in the original episode where the camera zooms in on Leonard Nimoy's face, and he does the whole eyebrow raise. And he's like, you can see it. He just does that head tilt and the eyebrow raise when Spock is like caught off guard. And then you look at the Strange New Worlds episode so the whole idea behind Pike is Pike knows that he's going to be turned into basically a vegetable in the near future. He has like 6 years down the line. He's going to be in an accident, and he's wheelchair bound. He's scarred beyond belief. He can't speak.
He knows this.
He knows this is going to happen. He found out in a Discovery episode that Klingon time monks told him that this is what's going to happen to you. So he knows.
That sounds like such a ridiculous sentence.
Isn't it?
Klingon time monks told him this.
Hashtag time heist.
Ignore that bit, Kim. Right? Go back to the Strange New Worlds plot.
He knows what his eventual fate is going to be. And in the original series, we see this. We knew this was going to happen anyway. In the original series, we saw what happens to Pike. We know that he ends up going to a place where they give him this reality where he gets to live out his life in harmony. But Pike in this series doesn't know that. He knows that shit's going to happen to him. It's going to be horrible. But he's dealing with that, and he's moving through it. And he's like, I'm just going to live my life. I know what my end is. So I'm going to live the best life I can until I get to that point.
Yeah.
So what happens is there's a time paradox happens, like it always happens in Trek. And a version of Pike from the future comes back to tell him, you need to handle this situation, because if you don't, this is going to happen. And he fast forwards Pike, I think it's 4 years or 4 to 6 years into the future.
Okay. Yeah.
When he should not be the captain of the Enterprise, but he is. And it's the situation that happens in the episode of Balance of Terror that Kirk is meant to do and win. And the whole point of it is that Pike is meant to accept his fate and go, look, you are not meant to be here. If you are here, this is going to end badly. Kirk has to be the one who deals with this. So that's the whole story behind it. But we get to meet Kirk. So they bring Kirk into this. They get another actor. They've recast Kirk. I don't know the actor's name. He was good. He was good as Kirk. He was. For what he got to do in the episode, he was a good Kirk. He was different because this is an alternate time.
He's too tall. He can't do
it. This is an alternate. Mooney would want to play Bones anyway. He wouldn't want to be Kirk. So,
Don't make him a casting agent.
So, this Kirk, he is now the captain of the Farragut, not the Enterprise, and he helps Pike with this situation. But Pike is a pacifist to the best part of it. He kind of is. He would rather be diplomatic about things. He's kind of similar to Picard in that way. He would rather talk about it and talk his way out of situations than pull the trigger. Whereas Kirk is a cowboy. Kirk will pull the trigger.
All right, but isn't Starfleet a kind of talky kind of situation? No?
Starfleet in Next Generation is. Starfleet in the original series timeline is not. Because remember, they had to come up against the Klingons and the Romulans for the first couple of times in that timeline. Whereas when we get to Next Generation, everyone is reading Ulysses, and they're all about playing the flute and playing the saxophone and writing aliens and stuff. That's the different type of timeline.
Put your legs over chairs.
Sexy snaps.
Yeah. So that's what the beauty of this episode is. It's a what if kind of episode that plays out beautifully and is acted fantastically. And they do that scene that I talked about where it zooms in on Spock when they see Romulans for the first time, and Ethan Peck got to do that face, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. It was It was pitch perfect.
It was lovely. It was the opposite to what would you prefer, yellow spandex. It was like a reward to you, but something that I wouldn't have noticed, but would have just enjoyed as part of the normal episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But that's what you want.
Because
You want your nods. You want them crafted.
I haven't watched the whole of the original series, so like that specific moment that you described from the original, I wouldn't have seen before. But it was just so perfect for that episode.
Right.
The way it played
That's
out, I was
amazing.
like, and then to find out afterwards it's an actual nod to a scene makes
That's
it even
nice.
more kind of special.
That's how you do prequels. Yeah.
Yeah. See a different captain in the chair. Like it was a great idea for time travel. Like great to see. Like how like Kirk. Pike. You would have done this, whereas Kirk wouldn't. That was great.
Yeah, and like then the lead into the second season is all about eugenics, which is a huge part of Trek history.
Yeah.
And they even have initially, this was one of my reservations about this show was when it came out that they were going to have an offshoot of Khan Noonien Singh as the security chief on the Enterprise, like one of his descendants. And yet in the timeline, it wasn't really known until the lads found the Botany Bay floating through space in the original series and unearthed Khan. But they did it really well, and they did it in a way that kind of subverts the plot and subverts the history of the show and what the future timeline would be in the show that we're currently watching. It's very smart, it's very well written, it's very well acted. Anson Mount is quickly gone down in history as being one of the best captains in Trek.
Yeah.
Wow.
And his pompadour hairdo gets bigger in every episode. Yeah.
Like I feel so bad
back the beard.
for the actors who are poorly served by the writing. Oh, my lovely Mrs. Colombo. Anyway, I'm raving. This is a long episode, Wayne, is it?
It isn't actually. It's just over 2 hours. I'm going to be editing it about 20 minutes. So
feeling our oats.
Yeah. There is one thing, and we've kind of dodged around it throughout the entire episode.
It's the one thing that's got me tripping. What is it, Wayne?
And we kind of hinted at it. We've hinted at its predecessor as well. So I don't know if you've seen it. It only dropped this evening before we recorded about 3 hours ago. About 2 hours before we started to record. The trailer for the new Game of Thrones TV series dropped.
The full trailer.
Can I get you without me, because I'm so utterly bored by me right now, but can I get quick fire responses to a proper discussion of this, a quick fire response to the Lord of the Rings TV show and the Monstrous trailer?
I can quickly say the Monstrous.
I think Darren has summed it up for
Rob Zombie, and I love real shit. Rob Zombie should just stick to music, and I've already said that. He's already ruined Halloween for me. Although we got it back.
Your misses and things. Clint Eastwood learned this lesson. Fucking Kevin Smith needs to learn this lesson. Stop putting your misses in things. It will not serve them. Leave them alone.
And the latest trailer, like I was kind of like, all right, no, okay, right, maybe TV show, I'll give him a little bit of forgiveness. Time has passed, and then I just seen the trailer for it, and I went like, no, he should still be doing music. Cheese, and as I said again, I love cheese, and I was hoping that this would be cool, but no,
he doesn't understand anything. And Wayne, do you remember the time we were playing D&D and I said I was going to charisma the guard, and you said, okay, show me how you do that. And I started crying because acting is hard. Well, I think Rob Zombie's missus should have started crying because acting is hard and left this set. Because acting is hard.
Yeah. These
people are either like workaholics or aliens. Those are the two. They either just like Brian Cox, they just do the work so much that it just comes out, or they're like Eddie Redmayne and Tilda Swinton and they're just from space. So actors are either from space or builders. And what's her name? Sherry Moon needs to not Thank you.
Is she playing Lily?
Yeah.
I haven't
Oh,
seen the
Jill,
trailer yet, and I
everything-
don't want to watch it.
Don't.
The
Jill,
trailer.
See, what happened was
It stops dead every time she talks because she's talking like a non-actor in the middle of acting. And like the other people are all great. The other people are all great.
No. The other people are not all great.
Who did I miss? Because the
Everyone.
Herman was good and the uncle was okay.
Now, look, I'm not saying, right, I'm not here with the yardstick of quality saying that the Munsters are high up the quality of
What have you got a yardstick of?
Quality. I'm not saying that the Munsters are some kind of franchise that I hold dear in my heart.
Yeah, we're not being precious. We're not gatekeeping.
But I think every single person involved in that production should be fucking trying to sue Rob Zombie to stop it from being released. Because that is some career-ending shit.
Yeah.
There's also talk that it's so bad. It's being sold to Netflix, and the rumor is that it's so bad they want here Netflix. You have this, yeah. Quick run. And it's not even out the well. Sorry, we've just seen a trailer, but like, I think I watched a couple of episodes when I was young. So there isn't it. It doesn't seem like it would be that difficult to ruin it.
I watched.
The opposite. It would be really difficult to ruin it. But
Darren, very good point, because it was such an odd thing. Now it wasn't. Yeah. It obviously wasn't that odd because the Addams Family was happening at the same time. But each time it happened twice, and each time it was an odd thing all to itself. But the actors were great, and and I've spent this whole episode feeling sorry for actors that were let down by writers. But this is like acting is hard, and
you see what happened was Rob Zombie made House of 1,000 Corpses, and it was a cult hit. And then he got notions, and he thought he could be a fucking director, and he took on loads of things, and kept putting his wife in things, and they're not good. Rob, just please go and make another album for us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You would think it's like the reason that
he probably has lots of talents.
People is because of my wife. What?
But what you're doing is you're doing what Citizen Kane did to his missus, making her be an opera singer when she was a showgirl. Leave her alone.
Yeah,
putting her in things because I'm slagging her. Who the fuck am I? But acting is hard, and I don't. And occasionally you see people, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot acting was hard. I've watched people do it effortlessly all week, and then Sherry Moon has just reminded me of the time I couldn't charisma a guard in D&D.
I mean, my 2 cents for what they're worth on this. One, it's a Rob Zombie movie, so I immediately just want to set my eyes on fire when that comes into a conversation.
We can do that.
Yeah, I just think. And again, like I said, I'm not holding it up to some kind of beacon of excellence. But Kim is right. The actors that were involved with the Munsters previously were actual actors who were good. Fred Gwynne played Herman Munster originally. Fred Gwynne.
He was great.
He was a legend.
He has done so many amazing things. For horror fans, if you want to look at something that's in it that's horror, that has one scene that will make people grab their ankles, is Pet Sematary. He was the old man in Pet Sematary that got his ankle tendon shorn by a fucking scalpel by a little zombie child. But it's like, and Edward Herman played Herman Munster. Edward Herman was, if anyone doesn't, nobody remembers him, he was your man in Lost Boys, who owned a video store, who ended up being the leader of the vampires. He was also in Gilmore Girls. He played Lorelai Gilmore's dad. In Gilmore Girls, he was Herman Munster as well. So you're talking top tier actors that have played this role. Sherry
I have
Moon.
to say, the makeup, by the way, the makeup department, no notes. Excellent.
But the whole point of it is that the Munsters were always meant to look schlocky and look like dime store Halloween costumes. That was the point of it. Like it was like, you know, the way you had the Filmation Ghostbuster cartoon, and then you had the real Ghostbuster cartoon. So you had the Addams Family, and then you had the Munsters. So I can get something being schlocky, right? Ernest movies are schlocky, but Jim Varney played them that way. this looks like something I filmed in my garage when I was 15 with my buddies. The camera angles are all wrong. The setup is all wrong for the shots. I mean, cinematography wise, whoever's the cinematographer in this film needs to be hung out to dry. Because
if you're making some optician or some IT specialist critique your camera angles, then you need to check yourself, because dear God, something's gone very wrong.
it just looks so poorly made, and I don't understand it. If like I remember people saying that they enjoyed like A House of a Thousand Corpses or
Devil's
some people-
Rejects.
Devil's Rejects. Like the shots, the cinematography in those films was okay. Some people liked some of the way of some of the imagery in his Halloween films. Everyone knows what my opinion of Rob Zombie's Halloween films are.
Yeah. Everyone knows
Um,
everyone's opinion of Zombie's Halloween
Because
film.
it's really old.
So
I think
I
you
just
can go near that, by the way.
I just think it's really funny that there were people online that were excited when it was announced Rob Zombie is making the Munsters. The fact that nobody thought that it was going to be anything but utter fucking dog shite, it's like beyond me. Because, like, look at his track record, for fuck's sake.
I unfortunately, Wayne, I me being me, I had a tiny bit of hope that maybe
No,
it was
well,
something he really loved. It's not that scary and horror-y from what I remember. Actually, all I remember is Herman Munster's laughter whenever he did something, which I actually enjoyed. So I don't even want to see this because that's going to get ruined. But yeah, but
It was quite sexy. He used to do this thing with
Fred Gwynn, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm actually disliking it more from listening to you guys saying like how like back when it was made, they were proper actors, whereas now it just seems to kind of be ruining that, and it wouldn't be that difficult to actually do it some justice. But then Rob Zombie said, "Oh, I'll destroy that." Maybe that's what he's doing now. He's just like, "What can I destroy next?" I don't know.
Yeah.
As he
But it's a shame.
digs through the ditches.
Yeah, he needs to stick to digging through ditches and burn the witches and stuff like that. So that's what he needs to stick to. Well, yeah.
I barely get to slam in the back of my Dragula anymore. It's not fair. Like
that's the thing. I
really
think
isn't.
back in the Munsters, I do remember Herman Munster in a dragster. I think.
They had it. There was.
That would have been the only
They
time
did.
that song
Right,
played that I would have loved.
Yeah, I mean,
for me because of the trailer.
the funny thing is, though, there is a famous clip of the original Fred Gwynn, Herman Munster, talking to his son about racism, and it's on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. So I mean, there were poignant moments in that show.
Yeah,
and it was delivered with such ability because Fred Gwynn was such an amazing actor.
yeah,
I couldn't tell you who they have playing him now. I don't know who's playing the new Herman Munster. I kind of know the actor who's playing Grandpa Munster, but it's just no. I'm not going to go near it. I'm not going to. I wouldn't touch it with yours. You know, no. Not
maybe
a
with
chance.
Jill's. Maybe she has immunity.
I don't even think Jill wouldn't sully herself to stoop to that low, because it is still poking that bear of it's something that some people hold dear.
Yeah, leave it alone.
yeah.
You know,
It's fine. Leave it alone.
Your questioner asked for about the Rings of Power. Super excited.
Yeah.
It looks really
super excited.
Looks really.
I want to see Galadriel be in a band.
Like there's all this talk of what they're doing with the timeline and compressing the timeline of the Silmarillion and the Second Age. They would have to do that in order for it to at least be a semi-coherent plot for a lot of people.
I've never read the Silmarillion. I've read synopses of it because I'm just like, everybody I know who's read it has said, oh, hard work.
It is hard work, and it's like schoolwork. It's like one of those books that they gave you in school that you needed cliff notes for. I remember the first time I read it when I was younger, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I was like, there are moments in it that are like, this is a coherent story about certain characters that happen. But then it talks about, like, it gives you because it was meant to be just a guidebook to timelines. It was never meant to be read like The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
that wasn't the point of it.
It's more of a reference book, would you say?
Kind of, yeah. It does. It's kind of like it's similar to, ironically, actually, it's similar to what they're doing with the new Game of Thrones show. Right. As far as my knowledge of that is, which is way more limited than it would be with Lord of the Rings. But A lot of the plot for this one, while in some books that are written by George R. R. Martin, are generally reference books. There's one, I think it's one that's like The World of Ice and Fire, which is just a reference book that accompanies the Song of Ice and Fire, that gives you the backstory of all the family lines.
Does this mean he's been cutting it short in the main texts because gas?
Yeah, probably. But I mean, the characters that are in this new show are only referenced in the original Game of Thrones books. But with the Tolkien stuff, with Rings of Power, it's basically, from what I can glean from the trailer, again, nobody fully knows, but they've added characters, they've added people, they've added names that aren't in the original story, and that's fine, because they want to be able to tell some semblance of a tale of how Sauron, servant of Morgoth, comes to Middle Earth. The rings are forged, they're given out, like, you know, like the whole 9 rings, it's for men and all that type of stuff.
7 for the dwarves, 3 for the elves.
3 for the elves, all that type of stuff, you know. And it's a case of they want to see where that story comes from. So it's a case of we need to make it a coherent idea. And if you read the Silmarillion, it's told in a way, but it's told over a large span of time. So with this, I think the way they're going to do it is they're going to give you a very sly big bad in Sauron, who's going to seem like an ally, because that's what he does in the original story. He comes to the kings and he seems like he pretends to be an ally, pretends to be an advisor, and through subterfuge. Through subterfuge and double dealing and all that type of stuff and backstabbing, he wheezes his way into one particular ruler, and it goes from there. And it's, I think, and the whole thing about the elves coming into Middle Earth and Galadriel traveling and people being banished, there's a lot of stuff going on that you have to kind of compress, and I think that's what they're trying to do. So I think you're going to have the purists who are going to either completely denounce it because it's fucking, you know, we don't get the description that Tolkien gives about the certain types of trees on page 224.
We need that.
You know what I mean? You have that, but then you also have people that understand that there's no way in hell they can make a show based on that book and copy it word for word. They have to make it palatable.
The elves' skincare routine, that's 2 seasons at least.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
But I think it looks amazing. Like
it looks stunning. Yeah, amazing. From what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
I'll stick that trailer on now later on the big screen.
Yeah. So I mean, I think with that's coming in September. But Game of Thrones is dropping before. Game of Thrones is dropping in August, 15th of August.
Look, that Sandman's on the 5th.
And Sandman is on the 5th. Sandman is definitely higher up the list for me than Game of Thrones. I might say.
Wait.
I mean, the thing about Game of Thrones is the cast. I didn't realize the cast until I saw the trailer today. Paddy Constantine is in it. I didn't know he plays a Targaryen. Matt Smith plays a Targaryen. Matt Smith is like one of the main dudes in it. His agent.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
His agent seems to have actually finally done him well with maybe a role that's meaty enough that he'll, you know, last a bit longer than a season. But it's Game of Thrones, so who knows? But I think, as we mentioned, what?
Who's in charge?
It's not the last 2. It's not Weiss and
D&D. Okay.
No, it's not them. It's 2 other folks. It's another group of people that are basically taking on. And apparently George R. R. Martin is involved, but I think he's involved as in he's collecting a check. That's my impression.
Get that bag, sis.
Yeah. So, but there is. It's not. So what they're working from Game of Thrones is not like they don't have like 5 novels to work from and they're waiting for a 6th or anything. Yeah. It's literally, again, an appendices and a family tree and writings from Martin and notes from Martin that they're working on. So you're not going to have the feverish fan base that you had with the original series, where they're kind of going, right now they're off script. Let's see how far they drive it into the toilet, which they did.
Maybe. But the one thing, again, we're back to the aliens discussion. Everybody watched that show. The people going, the AV Club, when they were doing their reviews, they had to have 2 separate threads. They had to have a board for book readers and they had to have a board for everybody else. The book readers are significantly smaller, obviously. But like people going, they're off script is everyone you and I know. But, 8% of the people watching that show, everybody watched that show. So if they managed to win them back, like, because they did them dirty, they did the pros dirty when they gave them a beautiful fantasy show and then absolutely screwed the pooch in the last season. But I wonder if they forgive them. I wonder if they'll come back for this.
That's one thing I've learned from that. Like, I'm a big Wheel of Time fan. Like, I'm still on book 9, but I'll get there. But because of what I've seen with I was about to say the Wheel of Time, with Game of Thrones, and like how going in at the beginning I didn't know anything, and then seeing how it ended and seeing how like everyone was upset with it. What I've learned is like I like with the Wheel of Time TV show that's out, I haven't watched. Oh, sorry, I tell a lie. I watched nearly the first episode, but I'm not going to watch it because I'm worried how bad it's going to be, and no one's talking about it, so it must be really bad. So I'm kind of thinking that with this new show, it can either get people loving Game of Thrones again, or it can just put more wood on the fire. So like, but I'm probably not gonna watch it, like because of just the way the show ended and the fear that it could get worse.
Yeah, well, I think it's good to self-regulate. Like, yesterday might be amazing. That Disney Plus documentary about the recording of Let It Be might be amazing. Across the Universe might be amazing. I can't be any crack if someone's talking about the Beatles, so I just stay away because I'm not the demographic. I'm too precious. And I think if you're that way about the Wheel of Time, that is a very good way to be. Like,
it's quite healthy approach.
Yeah,
It's quite a healthy approach.
Well, talking about it.
Guard your heart, my friends.
Does that mean I should stay away from Sandman? No, it's in good hands. It's fine.
I think
Sandman will. It'll hopefully get me going because I keep on wanting to read them, but I haven't read them yet. So
yeah, Jill, if they insult you in 3 minutes, you'll know what to do. Like, I reckon you're all right though. Your man's involved with Scrum.
Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it stands the test. But even though, I know what you're saying, Kim, about like not everyone read the books, but I think by the time it got to the finale of that show, it was getting people to read the books. People had started.
Big time. But it's a big commitment. I mean, that's
sure.
That's 15 pages about Renly's tryst with that young fella, and you're like, all right, but the oven's on, and
But the thing about it as well is that even without that, even taking that element out, where you have like the people that read the book and didn't like the way it went, people that even hadn't read the books and watched the show, didn't like the way it went because it was so badly written, so badly executed.
None of the characters did any of the things they should do.
No, they did nothing that they had the urgency to do 2 seasons previous. And also, I think the biggest testament is how quickly it vanished from the zeitgeist completely.
It literally stripped itself off our palette and ran away.
Yeah. Like you now walk into Easton's and you see their bargain bin. It's just filled with Game of Thrones merchandise. And tumblers, coasters, posters, t-shirts. I don't know of anyone that has lamented the loss of Game of Thrones from pop culture because of how bad of a taste it left in everyone's mouth, not just the people that were
like, I'm annoyed that they ruined my Blu-ray collection for me.
Yeah.
Like, I used to watch it. and rewatch it. This might explain why I have no fucking time for new shows, but every time a new season was coming out, I watched the other 1, 2, or 3 before it, and it stood up. Then we got to season 5, and I'm like, I'll be grand till the next one. And then Jamie got in the bath with Brienne. I'm like, no, we're back. And then we were not back, folks. We were not.
No. So yeah, so who's to say? I mean, this looks like they've hit the ground. All what they're doing with this from the trailer. This is what I'm getting from the trailer. From the get-go.
Sorry, Wayne, you just did what Liz Truss did today. Liz Truss tweeted, I'm ready to hit the ground from day one. What you mean to say is hit the ground running. You're going to hit the ground running, which is a good thing. Hitting the ground, bad thing. And she had to delete the tweet. So I love that that's happened twice in one day. You and Liz Truss are like this. You know, you're just so similar in so many ways.
Pork markets. So basically they do hit the ground running with this because they've straight up just dragons have them.
Dragons have them. They're there.
That's it. Like, so there, it's none of this waiting for them to grow and hatch and shit. Well, that
full on murder machines.
Just straight up, because it's basic. Well, that's that, and that's exactly what people are saying, because these dragons do have names. They're in the lore that's there, in the notes that are there for the lore and the backstory. These are named dragons. They have personalities. They're characters unto themselves. So that's what people are looking at it for. They're not really looking at it for the intricate political intrigue that we got partially with Game of Thrones early doors. There is a fuck ton of incest. Like, I mean,
well, it's the Targaryen.
Yeah. Like, it's a fuck ton of marrying your sister and marrying your cousin, third removed, all this crap. Like, that's like, if you look, you can look it up on Wikipedia if it's there, but the notes that are there from this, the World of Ice and Fire, the history of Matt Smith's character alone, I think he gets married like 3 times to like his second cousin, twice removed, yada yada, that type of thing. So yeah,
so like Shelbyville,
pretty much. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Giuliani did it too.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. But I'm way more excited for Rings of Power. That's going to be my bag.
Yeah.
And obviously Sandman, definitely going to be watching that. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like, I can't really muster any more excitement for House of Dragons.
Watch yourself, lads. Watch yourself. You know what I say.
We'll have a shield wall just in case. Always need a shield wall.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we're going to wrap it up there. This has been Pubcast. We've waffled on about all sorts of shite tonight.
It's been a while. We had a few in the chamber there, Wayne.
We did. As always, I've been Wayne.
I've been Kim.
I've been Darren.
I've been Jill.
Don't forget to check us out on YouTube or wherever you find podcasts. You can also check out Sorcery and Shenanigans, our Spelljammer campaign that's about to jam some spells and shoot off into space very, very soon. You can find all of the episodes so far up on our YouTube channel, or again, wherever you find your podcasts. This has been Pubcast, and until the next time, folks, look after yourselves. Take it handy.
Bye-bye.
I'm all right.
Oh, wait.